Hi. Good morning. Oops. Don't listen. It's really bad. Good morning. Wait, is my music playing? Yeah, check that. Let the music play. You won't get away. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Where's my chat? Where's everybody? Am I still alive? Oh, there it is. Hi. Good morning. Hi, Neil. Hi, Karen Diggs. Hey, hey, hey. No music. Fuck yeah. Yeah. Isn't that a great billboard? I'm the king of the world. I'm the king of the world. I got my chair all kind of fucked up. I got my chair all fucked up, and I had to move the computer with the fireplace, but now this is the better place to put it, but that's my bed. So I guess I should put it back on my bed. Because it looks so bad. No music playing. Fuck. Oh, the Discord. Wait, I can show you the picture. Hold on. Let me just let the music play. You won't get away. Do 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 do. Wow wow wow. Jesus Christ. Philadelphia corpses hanging from a ceiling. What the fuck is happening in Philadelphia? Philadelphia, are you all right? Okay, wait. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna show you my super cool. I'm telling you, I have so much fun with that. I love AI. I do love AI because it creates things that I could never create. Yeah, the keyboard's fouling up. Oh, no problem. Hi, good morning, Kevin. Kevin, how are you? You need to check in with me. And make sure you're okay. What happened with Subway? You don't have to tell us in chat. Please don't believe you have to tell us in chat. But we can talk about it offline. What happened? Here we go. Where am I? Who do I believe? Well, actually, I guess I just want to show you the picture. Because there's details, and you can't get all the details unless you look at the picture. Oops. Okay. Oh, here we go. All right, here we go. Yeah, Philadelphia, there's a bunch of... Never mind. I don't know. It's probably... It already is a terrible story. So I'm not even gonna... Oh, darn it. Don't pull. I'm not even going to bother. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I was going to show you this. Hold on. Okay, this is the thumbnail for today's. That's this week's thumbnail. Hi, gal. The same. Mine was be the good. Oh, how are you? You're okay. You're hanging in there. Oh, babes. Let's see. Good morning, Sharon Brown. How are you, darling? Hello. Oh, wait, I'm on Top Chat. Top Chat. I'm on Top Chat. I'm on Top Chat. That's right. Our poll, big Lolo energy. I'm a morning person. What can I say? Hi, our poll. How are you? I met 2 capybaras. Capybaras are so awesome. Oh, yeah. I want to see the sign. Cone looks suitably rotten. I know, look. Well, actually, I actually had to colorize his face to make him look more little orange, to fit with the motif of the... But do you see, I'm the seagull. I threw a seagull in there. But it's my head. But it's my head. Get it? I'm the seagull. Okay. And he's kissing Roy Cohn because he really says, thank you, Roy Cohn, for bringing me here. Hi, Carrie. How are you? I am the seagull. Come on now. I knew you would miss that. I knew that would be missed. But yeah, I'm the seagull. Okay. And I'm happening upon this very intimate scene where Trump is proclaiming that Roy Cohn is the love of his life and actually helped him get where he is today. Yeah, that's right. But no, I had to make Roy Cohn look actually a little healthier than he did. I saw a beautiful fox this morning. Oh my God. From my house, it stopped and acknowledged me. I think it was a good sign. Sharon, that's a very good sign. That's a very good sign. Fox are so cool. Be the seagull you want to see in this world. Good morning, Teresa. How are you, darling? Capybara queen. Oh my God. J-Rance, let's go back to the capybaras for a minute. I love capybaras. I actually have been up close to capybaras too, but I worked in a zoo, so that's what's different. And then I arranged, because I was in charge of like fundraising events. So when I was at the zoo, sometimes donors would name animals in honor, like in order to give their money, they would name animals, right? Like the Joni Smith zebra or something, like whatever, or whatever. Anyway, and at the zoo, what they did was we had an this was so funny. We had an event. It wasn't actually that funny. We had an event where the capybaras at the zoo were being, I don't know if it was, I think they were they name one or two of the animals usually when they do that, like Joni or something. And so, they're very sensitive. They're very sensitive. Yep. Yeah, they can be kind of mean when they need to. Yeah, the Jeff Bezos weasel. But a capybara, so we had this naming ceremony, and it was for Michael Tilson Thomas, who used to be the conductor of the San Francisco Symphony. Do you remember him? Anyway, so he comes to the event, and he's like, it's like a small entourage to like get closer to the capybara, right? So that the keeper will tell him about the capybara and, blah, 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 blah. He could not be bothered. He could not be bothered. He didn't want to be there. He didn't care about the capybara. I mean, he probably did. Like, he's not a mean person, I don't think. He was like in a pissed off mood. I'm guessing. I don't know. It was like the most awkward event ever. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun time. Look at the capybara. And the capybara are so cute. Like, they're the cutest. They're totally amazing. So Michael Tilson Thomas. I'm not a fan. I thought he was kind of mean. Not mean, but he was just pissy. And I don't like, when you're a star. When you're a star, I know. And somebody's naming one of them for him, so like whatever. Anyway, he was polite and everything. I don't want to say that he was an asshole, because he wasn't. You could just tell he didn't want to be there. That's basically it. Or that's the vibe he gave off. Let's put it that way. So I was like, Michael Tilson Thomas, whatever. So that's my Michael Tilson Thomas story. But good morning. What a fucking weekend. God damn. I am the court jester. It's true. I know. I have a funny picture that oh my God. I have a funny picture that because I was like, kind of like when Michael Tilson Thomas was coming, he was the conductor of the San Francisco Symphony at the time. And he was fairly big in like symphony world, and he was definitely big in social circle in San Francisco, because all the symphony directors were big in the social circle. Hi, Granny Doodle. You made it. Atta girl. Anyway, so he was, and he, I don't know. I mean, he was just very cold. So I was just like, wow, you really don't want to be here. The capybara ate my baby. Michael Tilson Thomas. Yeah, he did. Oh, and then my boss sent me a hat. Because I was like, I'm going to meet Michael Tilson Thomas. Like, I'm really excited about that. I get to walk him around like a capybara exhibit, kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my God. Because I've been going to the symphony. I went to the opera. I mean, I've seen Michael Tilson Thomas like in my life. Like, so I was like really excited to meet him. And then when he was so mean, my boss afterwards wrote me took a picture of him, with the smile on his face during the event. She was taking pictures. And she put a picture on my desk, and she wrote a note as if it were from Michael Tilson Thomas saying, I just wanted to tell you that I really, really enjoyed my afternoon with the capybara. Thank you for such a pleasant day. Damn it. Anyway, it's really not funny, I guess. It's not as funny as I thought it was, but whatever. Granny Doodle, I'm so happy to see you. It was a nice gesture. No, he didn't do that. No. She wrote it on his behalf because he wasn't going to write anybody any thank you notes. So she wrote me a thank you note with a picture of him smiling. Okay, I'm sorry. It's just so funny. It was a funny story. It was at the time. It's not now. It's not. In retrospect, it's not funny at all. All right. Okay, good morning. Oh my God, what a fucking weekend. Yikes. Okay, so I'm going to just there's no Senate or House events this morning, so we're not going to watch anything per se. Oh, actually, you know what? I did have a thingamabobber though. Hold on. Hold on to your love. You got to hold on. I know. I have a Michael Tilson Thomas capybara story. Come on now. Crazy. It's insanity. Welcome to my insane life. We're the Michael Tilson Thomases of the world. Okay, so there's a couple of things I wanna 130, 114. Okay, okay, there's a couple things I do want to listen to actually first. One is I didn't listen to the statement by Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Jerry. It's not even 2 weeks old. Wait. What do you mean 2 weeks old? What's not even 2 weeks old? Wait, what a decade. Oh my God, this has been the longest year ever. The thingamabobber. Good morning, Pep. How are you, love? Hi, meowing. SCOTUS is hearing arguments. Are you kidding me? What the fuck? I'm such an idiot. Oh my God, I didn't even think about SCOTUS. Yikes. Where are they? And the nurses
would enjoining the activity that the petitioners engaged in have a direct negative effect on the government? I mean, the answer here is clear. If you would enjoin the production activities during World War II, that would directly affect the government's ability to get refined avgas, to fight the war effort. If you go 10 steps upstream to an ingredient that one company adds and nobody else adds, I think if you ask the question, would this interfere with the federal government's functioning, the answer would be no. But here it's clearly yes.
I'm not sure that's satisfactory to me. The way you're defining this, but for now, something could fall apart. So how about an employer's strike or an employment dispute of a critical engineer of some sort?
I'm going to grab the background on this case, okay, and I'll drop it in chat.
It might depend. I mean, here, for example...
Depend on what? That's the problem.
Well, I think it would depend on how...
If we define it as capaciously as you do, I'm not sure what the stopping point would be or how we would limit the application of this case.
Well, I guess I'd ask you to think about it this way. I mean, there are provisions in this contract that go to working conditions. Now here, the contract went out of its way to say that the FLSA should apply here. But if the contract said something to the contrary and a state tried to apply its minimum wage law to the refinery itself, then I think that would be a situation where you would probably satisfy the statute and you could remove...
So, but that, you seem to be arguing that the only defense is a federal defense, which is part of the test, right?
You certainly need a federal defense, and as Judge Oldham made clear below, I think that's something that does a lot of the limiting work on this statute. And I do think it's relevant to keep in mind here that, obviously this court is concerned about these broad terms and coming up with limits, but the stakes here are a little bit lower in two respects. One, in the ERISA context, for example, or the Airline Deregulation Act context, the relating to is the whole game. I mean, it's going to determine whether state law is displaced. Here, it's just one of 3 or 4 factors, depending on how you count them. And then the second thing is, the net result of this is not that your state law claim is displaced. It's just that you would have to bring your state law claim in a different forum. And
I didn't see your brief taking on the government's position that strongly, but you did so here in your opening statement. And you answered Justice Thomas by saying that the government's position would expand our case law in saying that that regulation alone could give you the nexus. So how would you limit the government's position, that it's not regulation alone, it's regulation plus what?
Well, I guess I would say it's, I mean, you could come at it 2 ways. You could come at it and say it's regulation plus close supervision and control as a practical matter, and I think you had this here.
But that's true of most regulation, environmental regulation, for example. So I don't think that standing alone is enough.
Well, so let me give you my alternative theory, which is maybe not to say, think about it as regulation plus, but regulation to what end? I mean, in Watson, you have the classic kind of more typical government regulation where they're regulating, but they're regulating the provision of a product to a third party. The government's not buying light cigarettes. The government probably, all things being equal, would probably prefer there are less light cigarettes in the world than more. So it's kind of classic, the government as government regulating. These regulations, I think, are better understood as the government as procurer regulating in service of maximizing its procurement objectives. I mean, part of the reason that they're in there regulating the spacing of the drill isn't because they have like some newfound federal interest in drill spacing. It's that they're trying to make sure that they can get material out of the ground quickly, that they can do it in a way that preserves steel, which is scarce during the wartime. And so really all of these various regulations, including the regulation of production, is done in service of procurement. And that's just a very different situation from what this court had in Watson, but it's also a very different situation from the mine run of regulation in all these cases. I mean, there's another amicus brief supporting my friends that goes through all of these federal cases involving poultry, involving nursing homes during the pandemic, and it's an interesting sort of litany of cases. But the federal courts in all of those cases were able to say, no, those stay in state court. And I think if you recognize that the kind of regulation here is distinct in the World War II context, I think that would be one way to reverse the decision below, but still not open up any floodgates.
Mr. Clement, let's imagine that I agree with you about the definition, about the causal connection here, and I think it's broad. I'm trying to decide what would be left on remand if I took that position, whether we should just remand and let the Fifth Circuit figure it out and apply the law to the facts, or whether we should do that ourselves and actually hold that the suit is removable. One thing I'm worried about is the colorable federal defense. Fifth Circuit didn't pass on that below, and you say that respondents don't dispute it, but the Fifth Circuit hasn't decided. Judge Oldham talked about it in his dissent. That's one thing. The other thing is we've never addressed whether the federal officer has to be a federal officer now or at the time the conduct occurred. And in the Meadows case, which was pretty recent, Chief Judge Pryor said, well, it has to be at the time currently, which would not apply to your clients. So if you could address those two.
Well, there's a lot there. I mean, first, and let me make sure I don't forget either piece. So on the first piece, I mean, I think it's critical that this court, not just say related to is the right test, but should apply it because, you want to provide some guidance to the lower courts. So I think you want to at least go so far as to saying this is a clear case that satisfies the test. If you want to leave the colorable federal defense issue for the Fifth Circuit on remand, I'd prefer that you go ahead and just say it's not really in dispute, but in fairness, there hasn't been a lot of briefing on that, and in fairness, I'm not worried about that. I mean, we raised a number of colorable federal defenses, and I think at a minimum, the preemption defense based on all these wartime regulations is an incredibly strong defense, and there's probably an immunity defense. So, you could do that. So on your second question, Well, what can I say? I mean, Chief Judge Pryor got that badly, badly wrong. I asked on behalf of Mr. Meadows for this court to take a look at it and fix it. This court wasn't interested, but you know, the arguments are overwhelmingly strong that the 11th Circuit decision is wrong. But even the 11th Circuit, my understanding is, has not applied that in the government contractor case. Because, you know, there's a lot wrong with that approach, but one of the things is it's really hard to apply in the government contractor case, because what are you saying? Like,
I just put
the contract officer that
link
gave
to
us
the
the
SCOTUS
contract
blog
in
on
World
this
War
case
II
in the
still needs
pin
to
to
be
the top.
alive or still needs to be on the job. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know whether it makes sense or not, because as you say, we didn't take up that question before. I just don't want to implicitly resolve it here because it's a live one.
It's not a live one on the Fifth Circuit on remand. You know, if you want to drop a footnote and say you're not deciding that case or that issue in the opinion, you know, that would be an appropriate approach, I think.
Thank you, counsel. Justice Thomas? Justice Sotomayor? Justice Kagan?
Mr. Clement, you spoke in your opening about the apparent anomaly between putting the vertically integrated oil companies in federal court and having the oil-producing companies that don't have refining capacity, didn't have refining capacity in state court. And you said we oughtn't to worry about that. But putting aside for now the Solicitor General's alternative theory, which would treat them alike, I mean, why isn't that just a bizarre outcome when you consider that this entire suit is about the thing that both sets of those companies have in common, not about the thing that separates them?
So again, I'll grant you that there's like a surface anomaly, if you will, which is why my clients in the first instance are, you know, the SG position is our position, our principal position in the Fifth Circuit until it's rejected in the Plaquemines 2 case. But what the Plaquemines 2 case says is, you know, our problem is acting under, not really related to. And so, and even in the Plaquemines 2 opinion, it's like 4 pages long. It doesn't say much, but it does say maybe the refining companies are differently situated. And so, you know, so I think the anomaly goes away if you think about this as principally acting under. It makes a big difference unless you accept my sort of modification based on the unique nature of these regulations. If you think the key problem is acting under, well, then it makes sense that the people who are in direct government contractual privity with the federal government get to remove, and those that are not don't get to remove.
And when acting under, are you saying that every federal contractor is acting under?
So what I would probably say is, like, in some theoretical way, if you're a government contractor, you could come in and say, I'm a government contractor, so check that acting under box. But it doesn't do you any good unless what you did under the government contract is related to the thing you're being sued for. So if Chevron is, you know, got a refining contract and they get sued for their geothermal operations, or they get sued for operating a corporation-owned filling station, like, related to is going to be absolutely impossible. And so you check one box, but you wouldn't get anywhere. I mean, you know, essentially everybody gets to check the I'm a person box, but that doesn't move the needle. So I wouldn't worry too much about saying, well, government contractors get to check the acting under box, because they still have to get related to, and they still have to show a colorable federal.
And then on related to, which is pretty broad, so you know, the fact that you still have related to, I'm not sure how much that work does in terms of limiting this. But, you know, to take a hypothetical where it's not wartime, and there's plenty of crude to go around, and the government doesn't have a particular interest in what happens at the production level as opposed to what happens at the refining level. But it's still, of course, true that the crude oil is the single component of the aviation gas. Is that enough?
Sure, I think that is definitely enough.
So all the rest is atmospherics. The fact that the government was super concerned about this and, you know, was really looking at the production activities too, in order to ensure that the refiners got the crude that they needed, even if that wasn't the case, just the fact that the crude was the component product is enough.
It would be enough for the related to box. It's a lot more than atmospherics. It's part and parcel of why I don't fear the possibility of being remanded for the colorable federal defense prong here. And if it were just ordinary, non-wartime, kind of generic stuff, I'm not sure what the colorable federal defense would be. But for purposes of the related to, I mean, I honestly think if you take the wartime context out of this and the government contracts with Chevron Refining Company, it's probably guessing that almost all of the crude is going to be produced by Chevron in the field because, they vertically integrated for a reason. It's efficient for them to operate kind of as an internal corporate entity. So in some respects, the wartime context had a little bit of the anomaly that we didn't refine as much of our own crude as we otherwise would have. But it also provides all this other direction and control that I think make the colorable federal defense an easy piece. The other thing it does, which is more than atmospherics, is I think it provides part of the answer to why contractual direction can't be the test. Because part of the reason the contract didn't have to specify anything more about production is because that's being regulated to a fare thee well by the Petroleum Administration for War.
Justice Gorsuch. Justice Kavanaugh.
There seems to be a concern about the fairness of the state court system that underlies your position in this case. What is that concern?
So the concern is, in a nutshell, I mean, I'm not going to try to improve on Daniel Webster, right? Daniel Webster, talking about this in the context of 1812, said there's real value in having your case litigated in a forum that respects the federal authority. And so for, really since almost the framing of the country, there's been this problem, this issue, this concern with issues that are nationally important but locally unpopular. So War of 1812, not a lot of big fans of that in New England. Taxes after the Civil War or certain Civil War Reconstruction things, not a lot of fans in the South. Those are the times when it's most important to be in federal court. And as we say in the briefs, I mean, I actually think that, you can see this as a threat to federalism, but in some ways I think it works hand in hand with federalism because we're not saying that they don't get their chance to prove their case in court. It just has to be proven in a federal court. If they can prove their case in federal court, then everybody's going to accept the outcome, and they're not going to view it as something that's a product of local prejudice. The last thing I'll say is there are some real procedural advantages to being in federal court in terms of the ability to get interlocutory appeals, the ability to get this court to review a cert petition when it's interlocutory. So as a practical matter, it's not just like a difference in the jury pool, though that might make a little difference in a case, or it make more difference than usual in a case like this, where you still are going to have a regional jury pool, but it's not going to be drawn exclusively from people that are going to get, effectively a direct benefit if the parish collects a massive windfall.
Do you have specific concerns in this case about the state court system, or is it more the general concerns, historical concerns, and the procedural points that you're just mentioned?
Well, it's both. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say that the verdict in the one case that went to trial here, which was, roughly $750 million for just one parish, since the Fifth Circuit, the one time they took a look at one of these cases on a removal in a diversity context, basically said that, the state has a fatal problem.
I'm just going to read a brief synopsis of this case so that people listening. New York nurses are on strike. I know, I saw that this morning meowing. Are they giving a press conference? Okay. I have no attention span. You should never tell me that. I'm always surprised by Kavanaugh's formal demeanor during a SCOTUS hearing as opposed to his whiny panic during a Senate confirmation hearing. What do you mean? What do you mean about his? What do you mean? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? What about Kavanaugh? He's perfectly fine. I don't know what you're saying. He likes beer. What's the problem? Those should really go together. First of all, Gal, that is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know what it is about the colors, but I can't stop looking at it. Like it's got my eye all the time. And so if you don't look at the screen, because the colorful Be the Good piece of art that Gal created is absolutely gorgeous. Those colors, I can't stop looking at it. So yeah, we can absolutely make stickers, t-shirts, mugs. You can make anything. We can set up a little tiny site for you. I think we should do that, Gal. We should have the site for You know, you can do it under the name of Gal Squad or something. But I think, because you've got this, you've got your other designs that you've made, I think there's a lot of designs that you do that would be beautiful. So I would be very, very happy to help you set up your own little website. It's super easy. It like takes 3 or 4 clicks. It's nothing. And then we can create, I think that's what we should do. I think that's what we should do. And then market the hell out of it, which I'm happy to do. I think that's what we should do. It looks like the land area I live in with a butterfly on it from an aerial view with the lakes and the river. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Oh, Jane, that's beautiful. Yeah, I think we should do that. Gal, I think we should do that because you've got some very unique designs. And I think you should really put them on. I would buy this. I would buy a sweatshirt. I would buy everything with this on it. So I think we should set up and I only need okay, good. We can discuss it. But I think we should do one. And maybe the kids could get involved. You know what I mean? Like it'd be fun for the kids to have their own little business, you know, or I don't know. I'm making things up for your family and I'm sorry, I won't do that anymore. It's beautiful. The other thing is I just want to quickly say, well, I wanted to read what this case was about, and then I want to jump into a gal store. Gals, yeah. When the Supreme Court returns to the bench, okay, wait. This is the case that we're listening to now. The question comes to the justices in a high-profile case brought by Louisiana parishes, the equivalent of counties in that state, seeking to hold oil and gas companies liable for the damage to the Louisiana coast. A federal appeals court in New Orleans rejected the company's latest attempt to move the cases to federal court, but now the Supreme Court will weigh in. Litigants on both sides of the dispute tell the justices that the stakes are high, not only because of the amount of money in play, but also because of what court's ruling could mean for other companies that do business with the federal government. So the crux of the question is, let's see, in which the circumstances in which a federal contractor, right, who is Chevron in this case, can transfer a case from state to federal court in order to be heard. So it has to do a lot with people, you know, standing up to big fucking corporations. What happened? Oh my God, I'm stuck in the car wash. What? Oh, Jesus Christ, Jay. That's so scary. Oh, Teresa, they cannot break our wings. I love that. Are you okay, Jay? Oh my God, that's so scary. I've had that happen and I get scared too. So this is a very important case and we're going to go on with it a little bit. And then I do have other headlines and I really want to read about the ICC, the International Criminal Court, heard a couple of cases about Myanmar and so I'd like to read a Reuters story on that for you, but let's go ahead and keep listening in on this case for a minute. Bye.
Problem with its grandfather clause argument. So I'm looking at this case in practice. I'm seeing what happened in federal court, which is we won going away. I'm looking at what happened in state court and a $744 million judgment, and I'm thinking, yeah, you know, facial and as applied.
Right. And then you mentioned earlier, and I don't know if you meant this to be a test, so I want to clarify whether you want this is something you're suggesting should be in the opinion. Would enjoining the activity have a direct negative effect on the government? Was that something that you were suggesting as a test or just a comment you were making about the application of this case? Because the word direct could, of course, assume large significance going forward.
Right. I'd live with that as a guidepost. If you were going to make it into a test, I'd take the word direct out. But you know, I mean, this court has approached this exact statutory language in sort of different ways. In Morales, the court basically said, yeah, it's a broad term, and this is a relatively straightforward case, and we'll leave the rest for another day. So that's one option. In Watson, this court, with the acting under, sort of did the opposite, where it said, all right, this is a broad term, we're supposed to liberally construe it, but we can look to the broader purposes of the statute, and the broader purposes of the statute it's the same statute, is to provide a federal forum in circumstances where you would interfere with the federal government's operations. So I can sort of live with that approach too. There's kind of an intermediate where you say, like, there's 3 or 4 factors that make this an easy case, and those are relevant, but we can wait for the next case when only 3 of the 4 factors are present.
Thank you.
Justice Barrett?
Couple of factual questions. And thinking about how settled the factual record is here for purposes of applying a test, it seemed like there was, I understand all the reasons why PAW is a federal agency from your point of view. I understand all of the evidence from that. But do you understand respondents to contest that point at all? Because it seems in some places like they cast doubt on it. Is that settled?
I mean, I think it's settled beyond any reasonable debate, but I suppose if there really were a debate on that, you know, this is a context where if you think there's a factual dispute, you essentially defer to the plausible allegations in the removal petition. And, you know, I think based on that, we're more than plausible. I mean, we have the official history that supports, I think, really what we're saying. Now, like, they point out that, well, you know, the state still had some residual role in regulating production. I don't think they're wrong about the fact that the state still had some residual role, but it's black and white in terms of the federal government's role in the war versus outside of the war. So.
Okay.
But in all events, if you thought there was a factual dispute, you still end up deferring to the plausible allegations in the removal petition, and any factual issues get sorted out in federal court, not in state court.
Okay, second question is, Louisiana says that you grossly mischaracterize whether the state is trying to hold you liable for the World War II activities. You know, Mr. Aguinaldo says, no, this is just about the defense. The only thing that's relevant is they're showing that the activities were lawfully commenced before the Louisiana statute was enacted. I've read the expert report, I mean, and I can see why, right. Is it the expert report that's leading you to say that, yes, we're actually being held, they're trying to hold us liable for that, as opposed to having it be relevant solely for the defense?
So, I mean, I think as a practical matter, it was the expert report that sort of started the whole re-removal effort. And I think even the Fifth Circuit, when it considered that, said, yeah, the World War II is directly at issue here. There were hints of that even in the original complaint, because if you look at the complaint, they're asking, one of the, forms of relief is to restore this to its original condition. And of course, there's nothing more effective in a state court sort of jury presentation than a before and after presentation. And the before and after photos they want to show are the bayou before the war and now in sort of 2026, whatever it is. And so, that's a much less effective demonstrative if it's 1981 to now, and there's still even further problems. But if they would have strictly limited this to 1980 forward, we wouldn't have this argument based on World War II. But again, the Roselle expert report, I think, speaks for itself.
Thanks.
Justice Jackson?
So assuming that I think that or relating to was just a mere conforming amendment, and therefore we're still in the land of causal nexus, but for nexus, I thought your client had a pretty good argument that you satisfied that, but it seemed like you were giving it up in your conversation with Justice Thomas. So can you help me to understand maybe I'm misunderstanding what is necessary for causation, but I thought that the argument was that there was a connection, a sufficient nexus between the avgas gas contracts and the production of crude oil, which is what is being alleged here.
So I didn't mean to give that up, and I thought I specifically said I'd give it a try. So let me give it a try.
Please.
I mean, yes, you could say that this is the unusual case where even if you have a causal nexus test of some sort, we would still satisfy it. In fact, I had a colloquy with the Fifth Circuit judge in this case, and who proposed but for as the test, and I thought we could satisfy but for if it's the test. I don't think it is the test. Mm-hmm. But I think we could satisfy it here because it is both the reality that we did refine a substantial amount of crude from our own fields in these cases. And it is also an undeniable reality that the crude here is the absolute indispensable component. I mean, there's this great line.
I thought all the arguments and the things that you were saying, for example, to Justice Kagan, the stuff about the wartime context and the actual product here was your answer to why this would satisfy but-for contact.
I mean, I agree. There's a great line in the PAW history that's reproduced at Joint Appendix page 5 that basically says, look, oil starts in the earth, and without crude, all of those towering wartime refineries would lay idle. So, there's no question that the crude in general is the but-for cause. Now, I think my friends are going to get up here and say, well, but the contracts would have allowed you to use different crude that you purchased on the open market as opposed to the crude that you produced. And that's the argument that tripped up the Fifth Circuit. But just to be as clear as I can, one way for us to win is the way that you're talking about, that it's just but-for. The other way for us to win is, and that was what I was trying to say to Justice Thomas, is even apart from the 2011 amendments, if you think the production activities are under federal authority because of the pervasive wartime regulation, then it's not, I don't need related to at all. Then it's for the activity.
Let me just ask you really quickly about the Fifth Circuit's opinion, because I understood them to be requiring a contractual directive with respect to crude oil production. And it seems to me that that test is even more stringent than a but-for. Am I right about that? I mean, that's what seems wrong about the Fifth Circuit's test.
You are absolutely right about that, and that's why I thought I could tell the Fifth Circuit that we could live with but-for, but we can't live with contractual direction.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, counsel. Mr. Roper?
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court. By assisting the federal government in obtaining a critical wartime product under federal supervision, petitioners acted under a federal officer in refining avgas. That refining is an act under color of federal office that can support removal, and these suits relate to that act because they target the production of the crude oil that was the key ingredient in avgas and that the federal government linked to that refining by both contract and regulation. Respondents go all in on their alternative argument that petitioners must have been acting under a federal officer in the crude production that these suits are for. But the statute contains no such requirement, which would nullify Congress's addition of relating to. Regardless, petitioners were acting under a federal officer in producing crude, given the Petroleum Administration for War's unique role supervising production to further the war effort. I welcome questions.
Would your approach apply to contract disputes with employees also?
Yes, in our view, if we're talking about the sort of direct thing that is going into the product, and of course labor is a critical component of creating a federally contracted product, that is a sufficient connection. You of course don't need to even go that far for petitioners to win this case. But we have readily acknowledged that there are going to be hard line drawing problems here, although I agree with Mr. Clement that the federal defense requirement is going to take care of many of them. And we ultimately see that line drawing problem as inherent in Congress's choice to use this broad, capacious term relating to. And the way you have dealt with
Don't you think it's odd, though, that, as I think Justice Jackson alluded to, that this is simply a conforming amendment and it's doing so much substantive work?
No, not at all. I fully agree with Mr. Clement's answer there. I think the reason you only see this argument in an amicus brief and not in either of the red briefs is that there is just no way to get there textually. When Congress enacted the statute in 2011, this court had in over a dozen cases said that relating to is a broad, capacious term, and then Congress puts that language in a statute that this court, in 5 opinions, had said was a broad statute that was to be liberally construed. And so I just don't see how you can limit relating to just this sort of narrow pre-suit discovery issue. And we also know that Congress wasn't focused on just that problem, because if you look at the very next page of the Act, Congress amends Section 1447D, which creates a right to appeal in every federal officer removal case. And everyone agrees that that provision is not limited to pre-suit discovery actions. That was the basis for this court's BP decision a few years ago. And so I think it's clear from the text and context that Congress was addressing a broader issue here.
Well, you're right, obviously, that relating to is very broad, but it's hard to see where you stop. I mean, is it a butterfly effect? You know, the butterfly flaps its wings and it has the end result halfway around the world?
So the way this court has dealt with this problem in the preemption context, which we think is instructive here, is in one of 2 ways. So First, in one set of cases, like Morales, what you've said is that this is an easy case, there are going to be hard ones, and we leave those line drawing problems for another day. But of course, in the course of such an opinion, you would presumably explain why this is an easy case, namely that avgas, or that crude oil is the indispensable ingredient in avgas.
They
and that the
haven't
federal government
announced
itself
any
recognized this
decision,
link
Jim, as of this
contemporaneously.
morning anyway.
And while I wouldn't want to suggest that those facts are somehow talismanic, in the ordinary course of common law adjudication, that is going to provide guidance to the lower courts in how to deal
So
with
you
it.
want us to do the same thing we did in the prior case and just say, well, there might be hard cases down the line, but we're not, I mean, how many times are we supposed to say that?
Sure. So that's option one of how to write the opinion. Option two is I agree with what Mr. Clement said, which is you say what you said in Watson and what you've done in the ERISA context, which is if you want to try to put more meat on the bones, you look to the statutory history, the context, the objectives. And here this court has a deep body of precedent going back to 1880 that is explaining the objectives of federal officer removal. Most importantly, protecting the federal government from interference with its operations. And to operationalize that, I agree with Mr. Clement, what we would want to do is just ask, if the defendant had been enjoined at the time, would that have impaired his ability, interfered with his ability to assist the federal government? And here the answer to that question is obviously yes, when we are talking about the production of the indispensable ingredient in a critical military product, and when the federal government banned many of the specific practices respondents faced.
So could you summarize that into a test of some sort? It seems to be part of your argument in your brief that the goals of the federal officer removal statute can provide a useful limit on the seemingly expansive reach of the relating to phrase, but how do you articulate that?
Yeah, so the question we would ask is, would enjoining the charged conduct at the time have impaired the defendant's ability to assist the federal government? So suppose, for example—
I mean, isn't that going to be true of any federal contractor? Presumably, a federal contractor is doing something that the federal government needs. So if you enjoin the federal contractor, you're going to be impairing the operations of the federal government. That seems as though you have a federal contractor, you meet your test.
No, I think that's going to fail in two respects. So one, you're going to have this sort of category of cases that are collateral to the contract. I mean, the oil companies here are doing all sorts of stuff besides refining avgas. And if we're talking about a lawsuit against their petroleum jelly factory or their plastics factory, that seems less likely to directly impede the avgas refining. And you're also going to have stuff that is just sort of too far up the supply chain where you're getting so attenuated that, this is the one product that, the one ingredient that maybe they were using, but everyone else wasn't using it.
Well, you just said directly impede, and Mr. Clement took that word out of Justice Kavanaugh's formulation.
Yes.
Notably.
I would not put
I
that
can easily see that in different product lines, one might say, I have a contract in one product line, but over here, interference over here in another product line will impair my ability to meet my government contract in the first. Thoughts?
I think courts can exercise a degree of common sense and say, that is not plausible, it is too attenuated. Because remember here, this is the usual—
So you'd have us put direct into Mr. Clement's
I would not put direct in the test. I think
you
if it
wouldn't.
is direct—
I think you said direct in response to Justice Kagan, so I'm just trying to get—
Sure. If it's direct, I think it's obvious. But I think we know that it can't be direct because that's the sort of language of proximate causation, and everyone agrees this is part of—
Chief's butterfly effect problem, then.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the butterfly—
The Big Bang is related to you being here today, counsel, right?
Of course. I think what you say in that context is I think courts are going to take these cases as they have in the ERISA context and the preemption context, and I don't think we have seen that flood of cases in the airline deregulation context. For example, I think courts have applied sense and said airline advertising is related to airline rates, but maybe if we're talking about a strike at the mechanics plant, wherever, that is going to be too attenuated. And maybe some clever Mr. Clement can come up with some theory of why that is related, but I think courts have—
Oh, I guarantee you he would.
Yes, and I think courts have not struggled with that. At the end of the day, this court has offered these guideposts, and of course there are going to be hard cases, and I don't want to run away from that. I think that, though, that is inherent in Congress's choice in picking this language. Because remember, Congress is enacting the statute in 2011 after Justice Scalia's concurrence in Dillingham saying our ERISA preemption test is too hard to apply, after his concurrence in Egelhoff. And so Congress came in here eyes wide open, knowing that relating to is a broad term.
But Congress also said what it was doing in the report. This is the thing that is a little troublesome for me. that to the extent that you are relying on arguments about what Congress actually intended, as opposed to just looking at the words of the statute, it seems to me we're in the territory where we look at the House report and see what Congress said about what it was doing. And in the House report, Congress described the existing causal nexus requirement, saying that federal officers, quote, must demonstrate a causal connection between the charged conduct and the asserted official authority. And in the testimony Congress looked at during that time, consistently people said we're not trying to change that standard. So if we are interested in being consistent with what Congress intended, I don't understand why the evidence doesn't show that Congress was not trying to change this standard.
So we see a difference between identifying statutory objectives by looking to this court's 150 years of case law, applying this statute, and looking in the specific House report.
No, but you said Congress is coming in eyes wide open relative to our case law. And what I'm saying is yes, and then they wrote what it is that they were trying to do in the report.
And to be clear, we absolutely agree that the motivating event for this act was that a Congresswoman found herself stuck in state court in a subpoena case, and Congress didn't like that result and wanted to make sure that the Congresswoman could have her case in federal court. But I don't think it follows that that specific problem that motivated the act is the breadth, is the sum total of what Congress did.
Let him wrap up his
I'll, I think, offer the same answer as Mr. Clement, which is we know that from the text. And of course, we also know that page 6 of the House report, the section by section analysis.
Do you think they lose if I disagree with you?
So it depends.
Do they not meet the causal nexus test here?
We would say that the relating to theory does not meet the pre-2011 test, but it does meet causation in a sort of broader
No, I mean
sense
on
of the word.
these facts. Does Chevron lose if we disagree with you about the causal nexus requirement?
No, for two reasons. First, we of course have our alternative argument that the petroleum.
It's a little in the weeds. It's a little in the weeds. I understand what you're saying. I actually do have a lot of other things that we can do, but we did get the bulk of it. And no, don't be sorry. Actually, I was getting a little bored too, but I never like to just jump to something new. But if I were alone, I'd be like flipping the channel. But it is an important case because it's about corporate and contractor overreach, and that's hugely important. Now, do I have any confidence that this SCOTUS is going to rule against a corporation? No, I have very little confidence that this particular court will rule against a corporation, but this is the process. I know, it was zeroed in. I know, I'm so sorry. Well, then that's good. We're all kind of feeling the same thing. Judge Jackson is a badass, by the way, and you're absolutely right about that, Carrie. She is totally amazing. Hold on, hold your ears a little bit. I'm just gonna... Well, that actually helped. Okay. She is amazing. Okay, because we have a lot, okay? Because I want to talk about the Trump interview from the New York Times and from a couple different perspectives, and then go over some news. Let me go to Reuters. Where's my Reuters? Oh, yeah. See, I want to read this first, and then I'm going to go to the Trump interview. God, I hate this. There's so much gain on this. Okay, whoops, that's not right. There's like, oh, you know what it is? It's the damn everything. Okay. That might be, well, it's not much better, but that's okay. Okay. All right. I really want to read this to you as we proceed in our morning. Hold on. Where is it? There it is. There it is. Okay. All right. This is Reuters from this morning. Dang me. Oh, shit. Dang me. Okay. Time is on my side. Yes, it is. Time is on my side. Yes, it is. And he also had an unhinged... I hate to keep listening to Dump, but I don't know. You know what? You're in my kink right now, right? So you're in my kink right now. Okay. All right. This is what I wanted to read about. Oh, this is driving me insane. Hold on. Actually, I'm just going to take it out of my ears, maybe. What the fuck, man? Why are you so fucking buzzy? I need audio engineering lessons. That's what I need. I need to know how to use this motherfucking board so that I can route sound the right way. Are we having more weird fun sounds today? No, but there's always potential, Carrie. There's always potential. All right. This is from Reuters this morning. This is the Myanmar made Rohingya lives a nightmare. Gambia tells genocide case. A landmark case accusing Myanmar of committing genocide against the Rohingya opened at the United Nations top court on Monday. Forgive me if I don't pronounce that word right. I just don't know the actual pronunciation that's proper. All right, so I'll read this. ICJ hears first full genocide case in over a decade. Myanmar denies the genocide claims counterterrorism campaign. Rohingya victims seek justice. Gambia on Monday told judges at the United Nations top court that Myanmar targeted minority Muslim Rohingya for destruction and made their lives a nightmare in a landmark case accusing Myanmar of genocide. It is the first genocide case the International Court of Justice is hearing in full in more than a decade. The outcome will have repercussions beyond Myanmar, likely affecting South Africa's genocide case at the ICJ against Israel over the war in Gaza. Myanmar has denied genocide. Do you guys hear, like, buzzing? I've got, like, static. Yeah, I have static in my ear. Why is that? Like, it's really bad. Hold on. That's really weird. Yeah, I've done... Oh, my God. There we go. Oh, my God, that actually worked. I actually have watched so many... I've watched so many YouTube videos. It's terrible. I think it's me. No, I don't think it's hard to do. I think it's literally this girl. This girl. Yeah, that's much better. I don't even want to touch anything anymore. That's exactly how I wanted it to hear. We're going to get there, folks. You know what? This is my 2026 is my audio year. That's what it is. It was white noise. It's gone. Yeah. Whew. Sorry about that. I'm not trying to torture you. All right, here we go. Gambia's Minister of Justice Dauda Jallow told ICJ judges that Rohingya were simple people with dreams of living in peace and dignity. Twitter just locked my account until I proved I was human, and now my account has a label, and I guess I'm not following anyone. Badge? Oh, hi. Let's knock everything down. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Twitter's so terrible. I do go on there once in a while just to, like, throw some shade. It's just so bad. It's so bad. It's such full of lies. All right, here we go. All right, settle in. Grab your coffee. Mama's gonna read to me. Yeah, it's garbage. It is garbage. And it will only get better when more really decent people are able to leave it fully and commit to something like, I don't care, blue sky. I don't care what they commit to. They have been targeted for destruction, he said. Myanmar has denied them their dream. In fact, it turned their lives into a nightmare, subjecting them to the most horrific violence and destruction one could imagine, according to Jallow. The predominantly Muslim West African country of Gambia filed the case at the ICJ, also known as the World Court, in 2019, accusing Myanmar of committing genocide against the Rohingya, a mainly Muslim minority in the remote western Rakhine state. Myanmar's armed forces launched an offensive in 2017 that forced at least 730,000 Rohingya from their homes and into neighboring Bangladesh, where they recounted killings, mass rape, and arson. A UN fact-finding mission concluded the 2017 military offensive had included genocidal acts. This is Rohingya refugee Salma speaks to the press as the International Court of Justice starts 2 weeks of hearings in a landmark case brought by Gambia, which accuses Myanmar of committing. Oh, I have to purchase the rights. This is Gambia's Justice Minister and Attorney General Dada Jallow sits next to Attorney Arsalan Suleiman as International Court of Justice starts 2 weeks of hearings in a landmark case. And that is Myanmar's Union Ministry for the Ministry of the President's Office, Koko Hilang, sits in the courtroom as the ICJ starts 2 weeks. And this is Myanmar's team. This is the judges. Judge Yuji Iwasawa, President of the International Court of Justice, presides over the ICJ. That's where they sit. And this is Rohingya refugees are seen on a capsized boat before being rescued in the waters of West Is it Aceh, Indonesia, I believe, in 2024. Gosh, when I worked in anti-slavery, I remember connecting with some people about the Rohingya and trying to get some rescues done of some fishermen, and we could not make it happen. That was a really, nobody was really, of course, nobody in this country was really talking big about it at that particular time. Bye, Granny. I love you so much. You got Granny things to do. Go, girl. You go, girl. Love you so much. Thank you so much for waking up early just to kind of hang out with us. I love you so much. You're such a love. You're love. Rohingya victims say they want justice. Speaking in The Hague before the hearings, Rohingya victims said they want the long-awaited court case to deliver justice. We are hoping for a positive result that will tell the world that Myanmar committed genocide and we are the victims of that and we deserve justice. Yusuf Ali, a 52-year-old Rohingya refugee who says he was tortured by the Myanmar military, told Reuters. Myanmar authorities rejected that report, saying its military offensive was a legitimate counterterrorism campaign in response to attacks by Muslim militants. I think that's it. Let me see what the report is here. We can't find that page. Okay, that's fine. I'll find it. So that I thought was an important story. And then I just wanted to check quickly because we've got a few headlines here. Well, then there's Jerry. Oh, Jerry. Oh, R.I.P. Bob Weir this weekend. R.I.P. What a long, strange trip it's been, hasn't it? Oh, man. Arts are so important. Yeah, so we've got Jerry getting pissed because he's getting sued by the motherfucker. All right, let's hear what he says. I don't even know what he says.
On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation.
Thank you very much. We're looking at the construction. Thank you.
Damn it. Damn it. I'm sorry. I was really hoping to get through one show without doing that. We're going to get there. It's just about me getting the routing right. And I worked on it for a few hours actually yesterday. So I'm going to work on it again. I promise we're going to get this. And then when Bobo comes home, it's a whole new game changer because Bobo can actually work on the computer and help me set it up. She's much smarter than me. I'm so sorry. All right. So that was the thing about Jerry Powell. And I think what he said about the, him being kind of very clear about the fact that this was about the independence of the Federal Reserve. That's pretty shocking because I don't think he's like many of those white guys where he just won't say the thing because he wants to be like above it all or something. You know what I mean? I know. We're going to get there, Neil. I promise. He kind of just doesn't say the things like out loud. I know. I do notice that, Karen. That gives me a little bit of hope. If Hal Sparks has trouble with his time and he's on mute sometimes, and I've seen that, I'm really grateful that he's so human. So we're going to get there because I want to make, that's kind of fun. Russian, Chinese, and Iranian warships are gathering. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? The stock market is negatively. Yeah, well, they don't like it. The thing about it is, first of all, the measure of the stock market is anything but a bunch of like, hi, Black Bear. The measure of the stock market as a barometer of anything is so funny to me because it's such a limited view of what's happening economically. And it's so funny to me that people put so much stock in like, get it? Stock market. So anyway, hi Black Bear, so good to see you, love. I don't know what bonjour, I guess. StreamYard must not be real intuitive. This is Streamlabs actually, and yeah, there might be an issue with Streamlabs because I use OBS. I know that's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but I use OBS, but then I attach Streamlabs because it has a couple shortcuts, and so it's something about the routing. There's something in the routing that I'm not getting, and I can't quite put my finger on which setting goes where. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll do it. Don't worry. We're going to get there. And we're going to be, this time next year, we're going to be Pulitzer Prize winning journalists. Yeah. Copper and silver are skyrocketing. All right, here we go. As death toll surges in Iran, leaders take tough line against protesters. My thoughts and care for the people of Iran. It's so upsetting to see this, like all of this. It doesn't matter, like all of this oppression and lack of freedom, frankly. I don't know. I feel like the freedom fighters should be much more angry about the dissolution of freedoms in this world. But hey, what do I know? Rights groups reported casualties in the hundreds as President Masoud Pezeshkian, forgive me if I didn't say that right either, and I think, okay, it doesn't matter, expressed sympathy for economic concerns, but said the state must respond to, quote, rioters. Where does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar?
Well, no, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. We're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong option. ما برای مذاکره هم آمادگی داریم. ولی مذاکره منصفانه، شرافتمندانه، از موضع برابر، با احترام متقابل.
All right. It's a big mess. But I'm stressing that the reporting this morning is that Iran is ready to negotiate. So they're extending a hand to us. Ridiculously, they have to do that because we just can't keep our nose out of any country, frankly. And we're doing this for Israel, trying to help bring down their government. Problem is, do we know whose side dumps on? You know, here's the thing, Carrie, and that's what I was going to say. It's a good point. I don't know if he's, I think Bobo told me it's Reza Pahlavi and not Pahlavi. It's Pahlavi. I'm not sure if that's the pronunciation, so again, forgive me. But the son of the former Shah, who was the reason for this, who was the reason for this weekend's march in Los Angeles, where the person drove into the march with a U-Haul truck. If you saw that reporting, that march, as I understand it, was intended to support this Reza Pahlavi as the former son, as the son of the former Shah. And so I'm not sure who's who in this game, but I'm going to no, it was actually someone who they had signage on the side of the van that indicated they were against the Shah, against a regime, you know, and etc. So, but here's my point is that for me, and I just don't understand all the players inside of that. But my instinct is that that the Shah's son is probably not the best choice, but I could be wrong because he says he doesn't want a monarchy. He says he wants a democratic thing. So there you go. And so I'm not sure. I think this is something that I personally am being a little careful about because I just don't understand all the dynamics at play, and I'm trying to learn more about what is happening. But yeah, the deposed Shah's son hopes Trump will. So I would imagine that Trump is warm to the idea of the Shah's son coming back into power, but I don't know. I mean, right now we're running Venezuela, so I mean, maybe he wants to run Iran. I don't know. Yeah, that's right. Patriot Front got job. You notice you don't see them anymore. That's because they're ICE agents now. That's right. Dumb shits. Anyway, so it's really something to watch and understand. And really, if you pray for the people of Iran who are under oppression anywhere they turn. And I just hope for them that they get self-determination and an ability to have the government that they want, right? I just want them to have the government that they want. I don't know what that is. I don't make that decision for them. Yeah. This is another headline that really disturbed me. U.S. citizens are joining the military to protect undocumented parents. Amid an ICE crackdown in her area, Oregon National Guard recruiter offers U.S. citizens a way to shelter their immigrant parents. It's a 10-minute read, so I want to make sure I get into the Trump, what we know about the ICE shooting. The other thing, this was the other thing I wanted to take a look at. Hold on. Boop, boop. Oh, here we go. All right. This I wanted to read as a follow-up to the shooting that happened in Portland on the weekend, or last week, the end of last week. Let's see. So 2 people, this is from CNN today, or excuse me, 2 days ago, forgive me. 2 people were shot by a federal agent after accusations of having ties to a notorious gang. Here's what we know. A Border Patrol agent shot 2 people in Portland, Oregon during a traffic stop. Authorities say they were associated with a Venezuelan gang. Another incident in a string of confrontations with federal authorities that have left Americans frustrated with immigration enforcement during the Trump administration. The man and woman are in stable condition after the agent shot them Thursday in their car in what the Department of Homeland Security said was a self-defense after the driver tried to weaponize the vehicle. Again. The incident happened a day after a 37-year-old woman was fatally shot by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, which has spurred protests across the nation. As concerns of agents using increasingly risky or violent tactics intensify, the FBI is leading the investigation. Of course, they're investigating their own, folks. That's not troubling at all, and it should not give anybody pause, is calling it an assault on federal officers in a statement. Oregon's Attorney General also opened an investigation into the shooting. It's not clear in the wake of the discord between Minneapolis and federal officials. Well, they won't. We already know they're not allowing Portland officials to. Portland faces another round of scrutiny. Well, this is it. When the agents identified themselves to the car's occupants, the driver weaponized his vehicle. This is quote. And attempted to run over the law enforcement agents. This is Tricia McLaughlin, our favorite Nazi spokeswoman. Yep, that's right. Yeah, Jim, that's terrible. Somebody with measles got on a train in NYC, traveled to Baltimore, Washington, and then they boarded a plane. Well, thank you, RFK Jr. Bear heads for everybody. Fearing for his life and safety, quote, fired a defensive shot. One defensive shot, and the driver drove off with the passenger, she said. Portland police officers responded just after 2:15 p.m. local time to the 10200 block of Southeast Main Street to a report of a shooting, according to Portland Police Chief Bob Day in a news release. Several minutes later, officers responded to a report of a man calling for help near Northeast 146th Avenue in East Burnside. After being shot, the man and the woman who was also shot were transported to the hospital, the release said. The man was shot in the arm and the woman was shot in the chest. And it was an amazing bullet that traveled all through the car, I guess. Both remain hospitalized Friday. And the FBI will assume custody of them upon their release. So they are okay. Day said Thursday he didn't know the facts of the case as the FBI was conducting the investigation, but his department was offering whatever resources. They're being cut out. Who were the people who were shot? DHS identified the driver and passenger as Luis David Nino Moncada and Yorlens. I know how to say that name, but I can't remember for some reason. Yorlenis Betsabeth Zambrano Contreras, 2 Venezuelan migrants who authorities say entered the country illegally in the last several years. Nino Moncada is a criminal alien, illegal alien from Venezuela and a suspected Tren de Aragua gang member, DHS posted Friday on their official release site, Twitter. The passenger, Yorlenis Betsabeth Zambrano Contreras, is a criminal illegal alien from Venezuela and is associated with Tren de Aragua. Since illegally entering, Contreras played an active role in a Tren de Aragua prostitution ring and was involved with a prior shooting in Portland. Tren de Aragua is a notorious Venezuelan gang. But details about why federal authorities believe the two are linked to Tren de Aragua were not immediately released. Shocker. Nino Moncada illegally entered the U.S. in 2022. Zambrano Contreras illegally entered in 2023. They were released into the country by the Biden administration. The agency did not give further details about either of their prior encounters with immigration authorities. In the first hours after the incident, a DHS law enforcement official cited to CNN an incident report indicating the 2 suspects were married and were members of the violent Tren de Aragua gang. On Friday, McLaughlin told CNN the man and woman are not married. Well, that's the most important thing. Okay, so I'll go ahead and link that, but that's pretty much stuff that you had heard before. Let me go back because Gal had dropped a link or two, a link or two for me and you, a link or two. Oh, here's the Department of State. Here we go. Breaking news. Breaking news. The State Department has now revoked over 100,000 visas, including some 8,000 student visas. Wow. Brain drain extraordinaire. Brain drain. Coming down like rain on my head. 2,500 specialized visas for individuals who had encounters with U.S. law enforcement for criminal activity. We will continue to part these thugs. Look at this fucking dick. Look at that vagina neck. Come on now. Can anybody airbrush this? No? No? U.S. Department of State? You hate the guy? You hate the guy that much? You hate him so much? Oh. Me, she. Put the money in the bag, she. Sorry. And then she also gave us put the money in the bag, see? Oh God. Washington's new lobbyists, paid online influencers with few rules. No, they have a rule. It's lie, 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 lie. Cooter neck. That's right, Carla. Hi, Carla. Cooter. Cooter alert. Hey, your cooter's showing. Hey, J-Lo, put a skirt on. Put a skirt on that thing. Was it J-Lo? Who flashed her? Brittany. Hey, Brittany, cover that shit up. All right, this is a Wapo. 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 Oh, that's so tiny. It's so tiny. Oh, my nose. Okay. Hold on. I didn't mean to snarfle in your ear. Okay, let's see here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. Last summer, Donald Dump's 28-year-old former campaign aide Alex Bruzewicz had some new advice for the president. Reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug. Quote, nearly 70% of Republican voters support Dump on this. No brainer, he said to more than 640,000 followers on X. What Bruzewicz left out of the post, a political action committee funded by legal marijuana's biggest players had just paid him $300,000. That should be like athletes can't give an opinion if they get paid to give that opinion. I don't know. I thought there were rules for that, but whatever. Trump's return to the White House has transformed the federal government and upended the business of lobbying, creating a new class of Washington operatives that blur the lines between consulting, advocacy, and journalism. Corporate and foreign interests that used to rely primarily on paid lobbyists to pitch their case to lawmakers and administration officials are instead pouring money into trying to get their cause promoted by a group of young conservative influencers known to be close to Trump's staff. Yikes. Wait, what? Did you get blocked by J-Lo? I think Griffey was trying to get blocked by J-Lo. I remember seeing that. She was working on it. I'm not sure how it came out. She's probably back at work now. Damn it. We'll have to wait. A camera-ready pack of Gen Z social media natives, many of whom were too young to vote when Trump announced his first run for office, are reaping the rewards. They don't work for traditional news outlets and thus are unshackled from newsroom ethics rules, such as the typical ban on accepting gifts worth more than $25. They don't have to follow the disclosure laws that apply to big money super PACs or lobbyists, and they have large followings eager to hear pro-Trump views, a goldmine for those looking to sway both Washington and the public. Israel made plans over the past year to spend $900,000 on an influencer campaign with a U.S. audience, according to disclosure documents, as Israel fights negative sentiment on the right. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with conservative social media stars on at least 2 of his visits. The solar energy and health industries have paid thousands of dollars to influencers to support their interests, according to people who have been offered or participated in such deals. Qatar, beverage interests, and others have courted those with online political followings. Well, they're not coming to me. I'm just kidding. MAGA influencers. Oh, I'm not a MAGA influencer. That's probably why. Are turning access to the White House into lucrative new businesses. Trump's former campaign manager, Brad Parscale. Oh, I got to find my picture of him. I made a collage out of Brad Parscale once. It's really good. It's really good. Let's see. Dump's former campaign manager, Brad Parscale, has pivoted from campaigning to running a prominent firm that specializes in connecting influencers to companies and others willing to pay for their posts. That's it. There they are. They're all, hi. We're just drunk with stupid power. God. All right. Bruisewitz comments had focused attention. I don't know who that is. Oh, that is Alex Bruisewitz. Bruisewitz's attention have focused attention on the marijuana reclassification issue. In August, boxer Mike Tyson reposted Bruisewitz's remarks and said that reclassification would be well received. In October, Bruisewitz, who has no role in the administration and works for an outside political group aligned with the president, told the Free Press it would be a politically savvy mood. Yeah, for sure. In December, Trump overrode objections from Republican lawmakers and directed the federal government to reclassify the drug. A White House spokesperson said, quote, "It's essential that we meet Americans where they are and allow media from across the ideological spectrum to cover the White House." Oh, is that what we call it? And that the administration is adapting to new media landscape in 2025. 2025. Let me just make this smaller. These guys crack me up. All right, where is it? White House Press Secretary Caroline KKK. I would have changed it to C if I were her. I don't know. I just would have. I would have changed it to C. I think C would have been a little better, but what do I know? What do I know? Caroline knows more than I do. All right, wait. I need some. My lips are really dry. Where's my lip gloss? Where is it? What the fuck? Okay, it doesn't matter. I'll just die with dry lips. It's okay. White House Press Secretary Caroline said Dump heard from many different people about reclassifying marijuana and decided doing it was the best policy and political decision to make for the country. Yeah, so there. Isn't he the one who passed out? Is he the one? Wait, let me go back. I have a great picture of him falling off the podium. Is that him? Oh my God, that is him. That is him. It's Alex Bruisewitz and that's her fiance. Yeah, that's his fiance. I'm very confused. I guess that's Alex. Yeah, that's Alex. He's the one that hit his head. I met Paris Hilton when she was filming The Simple Life. Jim, that's great. I'm excited for you. Did you meet, what's her name? The other, Nicole Richie. Was she nice? I hope so. Okay. One of the largest historic spenders on Washington lobbying, Qatar, I don't know, is pursuing an influencer strategy that appears to be paying dividends. In November, it sponsored trips to Doha for several pro-Trump social media personalities, promising interactions with members of Congress who were also there and celebrities, with VIP Formula One tickets and a paddock access that regularly go for more than $10,000 apiece. And all of the compromise you can handle. Thanksgiving looked a little different this year, former journalist Caitlin Sinclair wrote on Instagram alongside a photo of a glimmering hotel pool at night and outside of a Qatari outpost of Cipriani, the classic New York Italian spot where partygoers inside ate oysters while a woman in a sequin dress sang, "Stand by me." Those who went to Doha said they weren't paid to post specific messages about the trip, but some offered glowing reviews. Rob Smith, a veteran and gay pro-Trump commentator, Instagrammed a photo of himself beaming next to Serena Williams. TBH, I had zero clue that Doha was such a cultural hub, he wrote in the caption. Oh my God. Amazing. In another post after the trip, Smith, who has close to 500,000 followers on X, said his visit had been eye-opening and that he wanted to help keep America strong by understanding and highlighting the unique and mutually beneficial military and financial partnerships that we share with Qatar. After Trump ally Laura Looney Loomer, who is critical of Qatar, posted online about the influencers who took the trip and raised questions over whether they were shilling for Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood, Smith found himself in an online firestorm. Oh my God. Well, have the day you deserve. I think it was an attempt to preemptively discredit anything I have to say in the future. You think? Oh my God. You know what? They all deserve it. Let them eat each other, Smith said, adding he thought it would benefit him to go and experience something for myself. Yeah. The trip provided an opportunity and I got to sit next to Serena Williams to gain firsthand insight into Qatar and to ask questions directly to Qataris rather than relying on inaccurate or misleading narratives, said Ali Al-Ansari, a spokesperson of the Embassy of Qatar in Washington. Looney herself has been suspected of being paid for some of her positions. No, stop. But she has denied taking money for specific social media posts. Yeah, she works at the Burger Barn. She works at the Burger Barn. She doesn't need your money. She's got the night shift at Burger Barn. She's fine. Thank you very much. She has received funding from those with politically aligned interests, Roger Stone, according to people familiar with the matter. The influencer Oleg Deripaska. The influencer campaigns are part lobbying effort and part traditional advertising, but because the players are speaking directly to their audience, they can appear more casual and more authentic than than traditional efforts. People respond differently to advertisements than to messages that they think are authentic opinions, campaign finance experts said. It becomes very easy for a foreign or a corporate interest group to significantly shape Americans' views of political issues in secret if they can launder their message through an army of influencers. I mean, this is a good article, said Brendan Fisher, director at the nonprofit Campaign Legal Center. The campaigns frequently seek to influence White House policy. While many traditional lobbyists and the press have had their access to Trump curtailed during his second term, Trump aides followed the work of certain influencers online, inviting them to the West Wing for briefings with cabinet officials and top White House officials such as Leavitt, the press secretary. So let me paint a picture for you. Oh, this is Gal shared an article about the influencers who are actually the new lobbyists. Yeah. The context for the other, I don't even know. The funny thing is if you recall the 2024, we had a case where it was really documented as part of a legal case against Russian agents here in this country, or in Russia, I guess, or maybe in Europe, that the Justice Department did bring a case where Russia paid influencers to show videos and have certain opinions. Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, on and on. So we already have an example with evidence of people being paid by bad, by nefarious funders. And so we already have that. So imagine the opportunity. Oh my God. Imagine, just sit with me for a minute. Play with me in this space. Play with me in this space. Imagine now the shift is that, I hate lobbyists, first of all. I think lobbying should get the fuck out of here. Although it's nice to have a group of experts to advise legislation that impacts things like people who are disabled, elderly. There's definitely ways where we could have advocacy for issues, but not lobbying. Like nonprofits, if they engage in advocacy, they have to be a specific type of nonprofit, first of all. but they do lobbying, right? Like we had an advocate at our anti-slavery organization. We had a Washington. We were in D.C., so we had a Capitol Hill person who did the lobbying. She did other things too. She was the program director, but she also had experience that she was a lawyer, and so she could also do lobbying and stuff like that. So we had formal reporting on our lobbying activities, if you will, for legislation regarding like the trafficking in persons funding every year for the State Department and all that, right? So I think there's a reason. There's a reason that you have people that advocate for causes and other things, because the issues are complex and you need people who are experts. And so I think there's a way to build that into the system without having money, influence, and other things which make the difference, right? What rises to the top is just kind of the shit and the corruption. Anyway, so just all to say that this is an important topic, because the influence that it has, while it might be short-lived, although I can imagine a world where J.D. Vance is perfectly happy letting influencers stroke his ego. Yeah, that was a good movie. Thank you for not smoking. Yeah, that was a good movie. Okay, so let's continue. Those known to have a good relationship with Trump's assistant, Natalie Harp, and other White House officials can command thousands of dollars more per post than others, according to a person familiar with the business. If Harp notices a policy position picking up steam among well-watched social media stars, she's known to print out the relevant posts and give them to the president as evidence of what prominent supporters are saying. This is how he also gets some of his goddamn stupid sound bites. Not only Stephen Miller and Russ Vought and etc. He also gets them from these goddamn stupid influencers. Yes, 420 alert. Thank you, Mr. Spock. I'm going to keep reading because I don't want to keep us behind, but yes. Yes, and. Hello, Mr. Spock. Live long and prosper. Wait, I can do it. Live long and prosper. Okay. If Harp notices a policy position picking up steam among well-watched social media stars, she's known to print. Oh, yeah. Lobbyists and PR professionals who hire influencers in Washington said campaigns can range from a few $100s to a post to tens of thousands of dollars per post. Oh my God. Some popular accounts have doubled or tripled the price per post they net during the Trump administration as demand soars. Oh my God. Sinclair, who is 29, received $67,500 in the past year from the Maha PAC to host videos about issues of interest to the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. aligned movement, according to the organization's financial disclosures. Creators have the attention right now, she said in the interview. In 2026, I believe attention is going to be the currency of power. Hi. I want to tell you about why children shouldn't get vaccinated. Okay. Hi. Buy my vaginal wash. Okay, bye. Sorry. C.J. Pearson, a 23-year-old conservative who advised the Trump campaign on reaching young voters, is in regular touch with top Trump officials, including Defense Secretary Pete Pigsbreath, and calls Levitt a personal friend. He texted with Dan Bingabongo, the former deputy director of the FBI who got fired this month, about football at the University of Alabama, where he dropped out of college a few years ago. Because why? College is for chumps. The Solar Energy Industries Association hired him to promote solar power for conservatives after Trump routinely criticized renewable power. In a September video standing next to a sunny window, Pearson said that solar is the ultimate symbol of freedom. Yikes. Comparing being dependent on electric power to Biden-era pandemic restrictions. There's a natural inclination on the right to be against solar energy, Pearson said in an interview, given Republican efforts to cut green energy tax credits. The solar campaign didn't change policy, but Pearson has inked so many deals he launched his own firm to help connect peers with companies seeking influence. I've never seen more interested in working with creators than right now. Well, there's not a bubble. There's not a bubble opportunity. He has celebrated his growing business by throwing lavish parties, renting out a nightclub in Washington over Halloween weekend for a costume bash where hustlin' rapper Rick Ross appeared, and Pearson gave away orange and black MAGA hats. One White House aide arrived in a reflective construction vest labeled Ballroom Construction Team. There he is. I love my Trump. I love my Trump. I love my Trump. I love my Trump. Courting influencers is probably the best use of time that you can spend as a policy person or a campaign person, said Sean Spicer. I didn't realize that re-debate, bro. We should watch it. Wait, what? What did I move? Oh, yeah, that movie. The Modern Debate Bro, Younger GOP. Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Okay. Wait, I need some coffee. I need a cup of coffee. The dad was teaching his son how to argue by not addressing the argument, but deflecting to paint your opponent as bad. Don't debate if chocolate or vanilla is better. Say America is choice. There you go. Cigarettes in space. Okay. Federal law mandates lobbyists and PACs register with the federal government and disclose basic information such as how much money is being spent. But most rules don't cover social media personalities. What? That's dumb. Wouldn't that be a marketing expense? Wait a minute. That's a marketing expense. Why in the world is what? That doesn't make any sense to me. Oh my God. Yikes. At times, firms disclose they are paying influencers in a general way, but don't report who receives the payments. This is so wrong. I'm very confused. Many transactions with influencers are brokered through informal deals with few details in writing, influencers and lobbyists said. The influencers take money while also acting as providers of information, disinformation, and allies of the president. The laws that do apply to influencers, such as Federal Trade Commission rules mandating that paid ad campaigns are labeled as such, are lightly enforced. Well, there's an opportunity. There is an opportunity to stop this nonsense. Fucking make them label it. That's all I'm asking. I'm actually not asking for censorship of speech per se, although arguments can be made for certain speech. But this is like fucking make them do it. I'll tell you what, you do a couple of big fees for these larger influencers, it'll stop the rest of them. They'll fucking post that this is a paid advertisement. Influencer Deborah Lee, 25, launched to internet fame after a video criticizing modern feminism. She has at various times acted as an advisor to government officials, including House Speaker Mike Little Johnson. Questioned administration officials at White House briefings as a member of the White House-approved, quote, new media, and had been paid to promote everything from the solar industry and to the prediction market platform Kalshi. Great. She's a frequent Fox News commentator and has appeared there as a brand voice for the Parler, where they plan January 6th, partially, social media site. Oh, she's a winner. Good job, Mom and Dad. You raised a real Nazi there. Okay. Woo. Ouch. She hit it all. Where's her telegram? In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, she said most she has made from a single contract was more than $20,000 to represent them during TV hits, but she declined to name the company. Hi. Why are they all wearing fake Chanel? That's what I don't get. Why, like the other chick was wearing a fake Chanel thing. This chick's wearing a fake Chanel thing. Is that what they have to wear in order to be MAGA women? Fake Chanel, like from Kohl's? I don't know. I don't get it. She briefly broke with Johnson when she was paid by the solar industry to try and save credits in the GOP mega bill. The big, beautiful bill passing through Congress is definitely big, but it could be a lot more beautiful, she said in one video. The bill, signed into law on July 4th, phased out the solar credits. In November, Trump posted one of Lee's Fox News appearances had been great. I'd really like to grab her by the... Several friends in the administration reached out to congratulate her. He would love to meet you. I girl bossed my way to the top.
I girl bossed my way to the top. Literally, from TikTok to the White
said she isn't worried about the ethics of working in so many lanes. Because she doesn't have any ethics. You fucking numbnuts. I know, Neil. Look it's dead easy to become an advisor. Fucking hell. I don't even know any of these people. I've never heard most of these names. She has said she isn't worried about the ethics of working in so many lanes. The only problem, she said, might be that since she's involved in so many different things, she could be considered not an expert in any one issue. I might not be considered an expert in any one issue. Oh my God, my conflict comes with being spread thin by doing everything, she said. Her agent, Reed Pakula, said most deals in his company, If Management, does with political influencers range between 5 and 20,000 per post. Per post. Like if I say something like, "Hey Joe Flynn, suck my big D," that's a post. Can you imagine someone paying me $20,000 to post that? Jackass of all trades. Masturbator of none. Okay. Yikes. Okay. People with personal interest before dump have also started testing the waters with an influencer strategy after billionaire Jared Isaacman saw the administration pull his nom to become NASA administrator after dumps blow up with Elon Musk. He hosted independent pro-MAGA commentators Benny Johnson and the fat Nick Shirley, Nick Sorter, at a private Montana hangar where he keeps a fleet of fighter jets. Jared Isaacman. Why does Jared Isaacman have fighter jets? Yeah, pay us, Jane. 5 posts, I could live for a year. Seriously, Neil, what are we doing wrong? He has, wait, so this dude, this normal, well, a billionaire. Okay, whatever. While his allies pushed for him to be renominated, Isaacman treated Johnson and Sorter to rides in the jets and a tour of his private Star Wars themed cantina bar. Hey, Chuds, this is what you're paying for. I just want you to know. This is what you're fighting and dying for, Chuds. This is the guy. Here's the poster child. Fucking hell. Holy shit. While his allies... Okay, whatever. All right. In the weeks after the trip... Oh, God, there's Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson is a fucking... Like, he's the biggest Russian asset. I mean, really. Johnson and others advocated online for Isaacman's renom. Johnson called him the man who could save NASA. Oh, okay. Isaacman said he didn't pay the men beyond covering the trip and cost of flying the jets. He was eventually renominated, and in December he was confirmed. I mean, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You don't need... What do you mean? What do you mean? Ethics. Ethics schmethics. Ethics are for pussies. We got money. We buy our shit. We don't. We buy our shit. God damn. Benny Johnson. Go fuck yourself, Benny. Oh, here's TPUSA, all the young people at Turning Point listening to Benny. Here's all the young people. She's kind of young, I guess. I don't know. You look a little wrinkly there, bitch. I don't know what this is. That guy. Yeah, that's all the young people. All the teenagers. The second coming of Benny. While companies have for years experimented with paying influencers, Dump's 2024 campaign to return to Washington, which was powered in part by social media, expanded the scale of such efforts. In July 2024, a political committee backing a ballot initiative to legalize marijuana in Florida paid ex-entertainment lawyer and commentator Rogan O'Handley $59,000, according to its filings. O'Handley, who posted to more than 10 million followers... Okay, that's got to be bots. I've never even heard of you. I mean, not that I should be that. Under the name DC Drano. Okay. Oh, it's DC Drano. Okay. Posted on August 8, 2024 in favor of Trump reclassifying the drug. A legalization policy was one of several that would win him young voters in record numbers, DC Drano wrote on X. The pro-marijuana initiative paid him an additional $105,000. Right? I know. I do need to smoke. I just want to kind of work through this. Our outwitty palaver during spaced out trivia should be worth $1 million. Right? Right. Okay, let's see. Oh, Hanley said in a statement, that said that the money was for multiple posts on my Instagram, not X, and I openly disclosed on each post that it was paid for. He added, I have been a proponent of decriminalizing marijuana for years. Okay. Democrats have had limited success in developing a parallel network of influencers. Well, here I am. Okay. Here I am. Maybe they don't because we shouldn't. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Maybe that's why the Democrats don't have a whole stable of influencers. Actually, they do. They just don't realize it. Maybe those people are paid too. I don't know. I have no idea. Let's see. The Biden-Harris 24 campaign did pay influencer firms, and Democratic strategists are trying to build an ecosystem of influencers to support liberal politics. Groups such as Chorus and Double Tap Democracy are trying to incubate and train a new generation of influencers on the left. I'm kind of glad I'm at the end of my life. I'm not going to lie. I'm not sure I'm ready for the next iteration of humanity. I guess that's why you become like a very bitter old person up on a mountain. Is because you just are like, God damn it, here we go. I can see that now. I can see that now. I'm kidding. Foreign governments are meanwhile turning their attention to courting and hiring those on the right. Israel's Netanyahu, the war criminal, has sat down at least twice with American podcasters and influencers in the past year. At Blair House across the street from the White House in April, where his guests included Spicer, Maha advocate Jessica Reed Krause, and podcaster Tim Pool, another Russian asset. He urged support for U.S. intervention in Iran, which Trump would eventually carry out in June. Yikes. At the Israeli consulate in New York during a September meeting timed to the United Nations General Assembly, Netanyahu called on influencers to fight back against anti-Israel sentiment on the right. We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers, Netanyahu said, according to a video posted on Instagram by Lee, who attended. That community, they're very important. In September, a newly formed firm called Bridges Partners registered it as a foreign agent for the government of Israel and disclosed plans for a 900,000 influencer campaign program dubbed Esther Project. The project, which started during the summer of 2025 and was scheduled to continue until the end of the year, would cost up to $250,000 a month when it was in full swing, regulatory disclosures said. A representative for the Israeli government didn't respond to a request. Hi, here I am with a war criminal. Hi. He's so tiny for a war criminal. I didn't know war criminals were so tiny. Didn't someone start a left-wing radio? I mean, there are networks like the Political Voices and stuff like that. So there's networks and stuff. They just don't do some of these things, right? I mean, I don't know. And then some that we do are just fakes. A growing number of prominent Republicans. I wouldn't want some of them on the left either. Okay? So there. Are launching new businesses that pay influencers. One, Urban Legend, that's it. I've heard of that one. Boasts a proprietary platform where influencers can log in and choose from a menu of options available for politically connected sponsored content. I want to go to that and see what it is. The company's leader, Ori Rinat, was a special government employee during the early months of the administration, but has since left, White House officials said. The mechanics of the new influence campaign spilled into the open in March when Influenceable, a company co-founded by Parscale, I got to get that collage up here, that hires conservative influencers sent a request to several X accounts asking them to criticize an effort in several states to prohibit using food stamps to buy soda. The influenceable offer instructed recipients to post about the dangers of government overregulation in restricting soda on food aid and included a payment of up to $1,000. Among the suggested posts was a photo of Trump drinking Diet Coke while riding in a golf cart. Several influencers took up the offer, leading to a conspicuous rush of posts online about soda. Until Sorter, the fat Nick Shirley and pro-MAGA commentator, and op posted the pitch from Influenceable online saying it was a dirty tactic meant to manipulate people, and they didn't give me the money. Oh, wait, he didn't add that. It led to some accounts to delete their posts on the subject. The firm declined to comment on the effort or identify the client sponsoring it. Well, it might be the soda industry. I don't know. I'm sure Sorter was... I don't think Sorter gets out of bed unless he's paid. The eyeballs have moved to social, so now more money moves to social, Parscale said. Well, if anybody would know, it'd be Brad, right? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Okay, I'm going to take a break here, and because I do really want to read this, and so let's take a break and have our fireplace back. Let's have some quiet time together. That was a lot. We did a lot. We did a lot. We did a lot. Boop. Let me catch up with our beautiful community here. Didn't someone start a left-wing radio network? I don't know. There's like Pacifica. There's all kinds of like radio things. Are those two women advisors to the Israeli? Isn't that other woman his wife? Isn't that Mrs. Netanyahu? That's what I thought. They are all still creating content and don't necessarily want things to change. Dump is the ultimate clickbait. Yeah, totally. This is all about money. Money, money, money. It's so funny. It's a rich man's world. Orlando has Real Radio 104.1. That's mostly a left talk radio station. That's cool. I think there's one other Real Radio in California. I don't think I've heard of that. Oh, both on the iHeartRadio network. Orlando's has been around for like 25 years. That's pretty cool. TYT came out mid-2000s partnership with YouTube to be a progressive independent people's news platform, but they've gushed over MTG. No, TYT is an op. TYT is an op by Turkey. No, they're an op. They're just ridiculous. Anna Kasperi, fucking ops. Op. I don't trust them at all. I don't trust a lot of people, though, so that's just kind of me. Fuck his buddies for breaking that up right before she kicked his ass. I know, right? More recently, Chorus was created by Brian Tyler Cohen to fund... Oh, that's right. Center-left influencers, but it's got lots of secretive funding. I know. I heard about that, Meowing Star. That's right. I was very suspect. The Brian Tyler Cohen thing, I was very suspect. I mean, I'm suspect of any groups. I don't want to join any group. That's my point. I don't want to. I just want to be me. Yeah, Chorus. That's right. And I mean, I don't know. It just is it's all smarmy. Can we just take the money out of politics? Is that possible? Is it not possible to have a political campaign without like gobs of money? Let's figure it out. I mean, like, don't people give that dollar to the campaign on their taxes and shit? I mean, why can't they do that? I don't know. Doesn't make sense. Money is terrible. Money is terrible. Okay, let's read this and then I'll let you go. TYT Cenk said he was excited after Trump won. Yeah. I mean, people are people no matter the size, right? Or whatever. No matter how small. Is that with Mr. Who? Bald Tim Pool is funny. I'm banned in Tim Pool's chat. I'm banned pretty much in all of them. AFR has been demonizing trans and Muslim people hard for years. Who's AFR? I'm sorry. AFR. I can't recall what that is. I'm telling you. I just think it's media literacy, folks. There's American Family. Oh, yeah. No, that's, who founded that? Now I can't remember. But yes, I mean, that's really, everything to keep the hate going. But yeah, I don't want to join any group. I don't need a group. The groups are fine. The groups are fine without me. They don't need me either, by the way, because I'm very unreliable and very lazy. I gave up after half an hour. What? Oh, yeah. No, there's no, this is all like Tim Wildmon. Oh, Tim Wildmon. Okay. I haven't heard of that. I might be mixing it up with something else. All right, this is Dumpy's interview. And the reason these are important is because he's got such loose lips right now because his brain is malfunctioning. And so he says all the stuff that people have told him, sometimes in the very words that they've told him, and he just can't help himself. So this is actually great when he gives us the gift of inside his rotted brain. And the only reason I say that is because when I hear him speak, what I'm actually hearing is people like Stephen Miller, Russ Vogt, David Sachs, Mark Andre, all those people around, Susie Wiles, all the people around him. And that means that's what their plans are, because they give him the big thing to say. And then he says it and everyone goes, Rah! And then of course it's normalized. It's really quite brilliant. I mean, it's really quite a brilliant takeover that the fascists have done. They really, yeah. I love Project Let Him Talk. Hi, Grace Lisa. How are you, darling? Good morning. All right, this is the New York Times grand interview. We'll see how much we can get through of it until we get really disgusted with ourselves. 2 hours, scores of questions, 23,000 words. Our interview with President Dump. 4 New York Times reporters pressed Mr. Trump about a range of topics in a nearly 2-hour interview. Here's a transcript of their conversation. So we won't be able to, I will share the full article though. Copy link, please. Yes, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna put this right here. Don Wildman. Now I have heard of that name. That sounds really familiar. Okay, there's a gift article to this New York Times thing. Because we may not, but we'll read a little bit of it. All right, there's a picture of him in the White House Oval with all the New York Times reporters, and there's Stephen Chung. And that's probably, is that Caroline or is it Susie? That's Caroline, right? Yeah, I recognize those shoes anywhere. The Times journalists were with President Dump for roughly 4 hours, which included an off-the-record call with the president of Colombia and a walkthrough of the official residence and parts of the West Wing. President Dump spoke to 4 New York Times reporters, Zolan Kano-Youngs, Tyler Pager, Katie Rogers, David Sanger, for nearly 2 hours in an interview on Wednesday evening in the Oval Office. They discussed subjects including his view of power as commander-in-chief, the fatal ICE shooting in Minneapolis, immigration, the U.S. strategy toward Venezuela, the Russia-Ukraine war, Greenland and NATO, his health, and his plans for further White House renovations. Several other people were in the room, including Doug Mills, a senior photographer for The Times, Carolyn Levitt, Stephen Chung, and Natalie Harp. We just talked about her. Little Marco slipped him a private note in some meeting, and he immediately read it out loud. I know. Don't read this note. Oh, whoops. Don't read this out loud. At one point, I'm just going to jump from one thing to another, so sorry. At one point, Dump took a lengthy call from Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia. Vice President J.D. Vance, couchfucker, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio were in attendance for that portion, then left the Oval Office. The reporters were invited to stay in the room for the call on the condition that its contents remained off the record. The reporters agreed. Oh, wow. The Times journalists were with the president for roughly 4 hours. Okay, let's... When they arrived in the Oval Office, there was a brief discussion with the president about publishing the audio recording of the interview, and then he took the call from Mr. Petro for about 55 minutes. The interview opened with a discussion about how Mr. Dump views his power on the world stage. So let me tell you where we want to start. Your decision to capture Maduro and declare that the U.S. was in charge for the foreseeable future, I think, raised a question whether you believe, as your aide Stephen Miller put it so clearly the other night, that international niceties are gone, that countries operate by strength. I think he said governed by strength, government by force, governed by power. And I think that left a lot of people wondering whether you believe you have the right, as the world's largest superpower, to go in and extinguish any threat or seize any resource you think is in the U.S. interest, particularly in the Western Hemisphere. I'm not going to try and do his voice for that. Can be read without saying it out loud. That's so true. If there's a threat, you use the word threat, you certainly would have the right. Any country would have the right to do that. Without the threat, much less so. And frankly, I do believe in the niceties. I get along with a lot of people. I get along with NATO. Look at NATO. They raised their GDP to 5% from 2%. They didn't pay the 2%, then they pay the 5%. My relationship is very good with them. I mean, it's been very good, very strong. When I did that, everyone said they've never seen anything like it. You would say that it was amazing to go from 2% to 5%. Don't forget, most of them didn't pay the 2%, and they're all paying the 5%. So there you go. Hi, peace, love. So what you're saying is there's a threat, you can go in, but in the case of Venezuela, you've gone in part to get a resource, which you just declared today was, no, I went in for numerous reasons. Number one, the drugs are pouring in the country, you know. Number two, the people are pouring into the country. Except now, we have 100% strong border. But before I got here, under Sleepy Joe Biden, the people coming into our country from jails, prisons, mental institutions, and insane asylums, which are different than mental institutions, according to him, some of the worst people in the world, from drug lords to drug addicts, by the millions they came in. Think of it. They opened their jails and prisons and brought the people. This is Stephen Miller. And let them come in, and that's just unacceptable. That's bad. But it was the oil in the end that made a big difference to you, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. The oil happened to be there. Okay, it's about the drugs? I thought it was about the oil. I thought it was about the sanctioned oil. Okay, never mind. Don't forget, the oil will take a while, but we haven't said, although we did get, many barrels of oil today, as you probably know. Yes, I saw it last night. We're basically pirates. And that's fine, but we didn't do that. We didn't even know about all the oil being stored there. Okay. All right, let's go. So, supposing you're President Xi and you've watched the events of the past few days, you probably are deeply impressed with how the special operators are. Yeah, he was impressed. You may also be thinking, if you're Xi, that you could use the same logic to decapitate and control Taiwan. I know, we do need a hug. Or why couldn't Putin use that same argument, it's a threat, to grab the rest of Ukraine or go beyond into other former Soviet states? Have you created a precedent that you may come to regret later on? No, because Oh, David, you're so silly. No, because this was a real threat. You didn't have people pouring into China. What? Oh, my God. You didn't have all the bad things that we've had. You didn't have the jails of Taiwan opened up and the people pouring into China. There aren't that many people in the jails, but you didn't have hundreds of thousands of people coming from jails and mental institutions pouring into China, pouring onto Russia. Okay, listen, you can't read this without some kind of stupidity in your voice. That's just the way it is. It's like it demands it. But she regards Taiwan as separatist. She would tell you Taiwan's a threat to China and that it's a separatist operation. He doesn't know what that means, but that's fine. We'll see. Well, it's a source of pride for him. He considers it to be part of China, and that's up to him and what he's going to be doing. But I've expressed to him that I would be very unhappy if he did that, and I don't think he'll do that. I hope he doesn't do that. So you don't think you've set a precedent that other countries, he may do it after we have a different president, but I don't think he's going to do it with me as president. Given what happened in Venezuela, the threats against Colombia, discussions about taking Greenland, buying Greenland, however you're framing this right now, is there anything that you think can constrain your power on the world stage if you believe that something is against national security? So, Katie, I rebuilt the military in my first term. And then he takes a phone call. We had tremendous economy. We had tremendous everything. We got hit with COVID. I'm not going to go for... but it was very little compared to what we've done, given away to Afghanistan. I think it was the lowest point. Okay, I'm not going to go through this if this is a speech. But I think at this point it was respected less than it ever was, and you're only talking about a couple of years. Afghanistan was a low point. It was like a depression, the stupidity. Oh, well, that's, yeah, true now. Okay, this is all Bagram, and they should have kept Bagram primarily of China because of China. It's 1 hour away from where they make their nuclear weapons in China. Would have been very nice, and Biden gave it away, but, well, you rebuilt the military. It doesn't mean it's gone forever. I'm going to take Bagram again. Do you see any checks on your power on the world stage? Is there anything that could stop you if you wanted to? Yeah, there is one thing. My own morality. My own mind. It's all up here. It's the only thing that can stop me, and that's very good. This is Cuckoo Bananas Town. This man is an idiot. Like, he's not just getting older and dying on the inside. He's like stupid. Like, didn't pay attention in school stupid. Wow, this country is unfucking believable, really. Oh boy. Not international law? I don't need international law. I'm not looking to hurt people. But you are. But you are. I'm not looking to kill people, but you did. And you do. And you have. And you are. Remember this, I've ended 8 wars. No, you haven't. Okay, blah, blah, blah. He was there for a few weeks. None of his answers are even worth reading. If you look at his words were tough to end to. India, Pakistan. Okay. Just to follow up there, though, but that was 1 of 8. We ended 8 strong wars. Some going on for more than 30 years. But do you feel your administration needs to abide by international law on the global stage? Yeah, I do. You know I do. But it depends on your definition of international law. Oh, my God. I can't. Let's find our parachute meowing. It feels like we already went over the cliff. I know. You're absolutely right. No, Meowing Star, I 100% agree. The horses have left the barn. We're trying to wrangle the horses. I mean, this is Trump's interview with the New York Times this weekend. Peace, love. Yeah, we need to find our parachute. It's really true. And we need to make sure everybody else has a parachute on too. Whew, we have to. Oh, man. I'm going to read it again. Yeah, I do. You know I do. But it depends on what your definition of international law is. Well, international law is pretty much international law. And they wrote it down. Thankfully for us, they wrote it down. But the answer is I do. We have to keep the United States safe. Okay. We have to keep parts of the world safe that we feel responsible for. Which ones are those? NATO is not feared by Russia or China at all. Not even a little bit. Well, apparently they are. Okay, I'm going to stop him here, okay? Because apparently Russia is fucking bitterly afraid of NATO. Because they started a whole goddamn war to grab land because they're scared that NATO would put forces for a strong Ukraine, number one. That the resources, number 2. But then also, they don't want NATO having a friendly country right on their motherfucking border. Because that really kills the vibe. So, NATO is definitely feared by Russia. Otherwise, Mr. Blow Your Wad wouldn't have blown his wad. Okay. On the importance of the military, we spent, under my term, almost $1 trillion a year rebuilding the military. Really? In the first term? We're respected. What would trigger a decision to send ground troops into Venezuela? I wouldn't want to tell you that because you know I can't. I can't give up information like that to a reporter, as good as you may be. I just can't talk about that. There's a possibility I would do that. I had a second... Okay, so this is why I really love these things. You know, I had a second wave planned, potentially. Well, you just did give up your fucking plans. If Putin wasn't afraid of NATO, he wouldn't be trying to destroy NATO. Exactly, Neil. Well said. Thank you. You said it better than I meandered around. Would you do it if you couldn't get at the oil? Would you do it if they didn't kick out the Chinese and the Russians? Well, I can't tell you that. I really wouldn't want to tell you that, but they're treating us with great respect. As you know, we're getting along very well with the administration that is there right now. They're giving us everything that we feel is necessary. Don't forget, they took the oil from us years ago. What? No, they didn't. They didn't. Oh my God. This man is so dumb. Doug Burgum. I blame Doug Burgum. And the thing is, and I'm going to remind us again, that the administration that he's talking about, that he's working with, that is working so well with the Dump administration, is the same administration that was involved in whatever drug running and other shit that Maduro was involved in. His administration are equally guilty. They're all a part of it. So it's really unclear to me why you remove Maduro. Well, I know it's actually very clear to me, but on the face of it, if you think about it, removing Maduro but not removing all of the infrastructure that supported Maduro and was complicit, well, that tells me right there that you're not really interested in stopping crime. This is regime change and taking over land and the Technet of America. Keep up. Jesus Christ. I can't tell you that. I really wouldn't want to tell you that, but they're treating us with great respect. As you know, we're getting along very well with the administration that is there right now. But it's the same. We built there, we built their whole oil industrial complex, and they took that away from us, and they're giving it back. Oh, so it's all the infrastructure of the oil business in Venezuela? We did that? I mean, did American companies? I don't know. He's lying. Mr. President, have you spoken to the interim Venezuelan leader, Delcy Rodriguez, or any? I don't want to comment on that, but no, Marco speaks to her all the time. So yes, that's really dumb. When Tyler's asking you if you spoke to the leader, it really implies, has the administration spoken to the leader? So you're not going to comment on you, but you're going to confirm that, yes, the administration is talking to the leader. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But have you spoken to her? I don't want to speak. I don't want to comment on that. But I will tell you, we're in constant communication with her in the administration. I think he thinks he's being some real, real like secretive. It was an interesting choice that you chose to keep her in power because you declared, rightly so, as the Biden administration had as well, that Maduro was not the legitimate president. Therefore, she was probably not the legitimate vice president. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. It was a rigged election when they had it last year. Therefore, she was probably not the legitimate vice president. And yet, rather than say that the winners of the 2024 election should step in, and there was a winner to that recognized by the United States, you decided to keep in power the same corrupt regime that 2 weeks ago was there. Why did you make that decision? And at some point, when did you switch over to a democratic process? Well, that's what we inherited, when we did the very brilliant military maneuvers that I think, will be read about for a long time. Yeah, in court documents. We have a lot better than that, too. We have the best equipment in the world. I was responsible for getting a lot of that great equipment, but we have the best equipment. You saw what happened. I mean, to think that, and this is sad to me, but they lost over 100 people, and we lost nobody. Because we killed about 80 people. We assassinated 80 people on the ground in Venezuela when we landed. They didn't lose 100 people. We shot them. Yeah, I thought oil companies got reimbursed. Oh, see, I don't know enough about that situation. Thank you, Grace Lisa. 4 of those countries had to give up their short and medium range missiles to become members of NATO. So did Ukraine. Yeah, exactly. We almost lost a lot of people, specialized people. I mean, I can only imagine. So forgive me if it's like, this is so dumb. But, we're going into a fort, a heavily armed fort. Reason the house was built there was a fort. He's in a fort. And to think we go in there and have nobody killed, not lose one aircraft. Well, okay, think about it. Think about putting airmen and soldiers in danger when we didn't have to. We didn't have to do this. This was a self-inflicted wound, yet another in a series of self-inflicted wounds by this regime. The tariffs, self-inflicted wound. Our economy right now, self-inflicted wound. Ghost jobs, growth in the economy without growth in jobs and a decline in jobs. That's us. Those helicopters carry a lot of special operators. Oh, God, it's maddening. He treats people like toys. You didn't have President Jimmy Carter crashing helicopter. Oh, fucking this. I'm not even. It was a simple maneuver. They should never have left from the airport. They should have used. Oh, okay. He's back in Afghanistan. Okay. Can I circle back to what you said about NATO? If you had to choose between Greenland and preserving NATO, obtaining Greenland and preserving NATO, what's your higher priority there? Ooh, good one, Katie. Well, I don't want to say that to you, but it may be a choice, so I'm going to say it to you now. You have to understand, Russia is not at all concerned with NATO other than us. What? China is not at all concerned with NATO other than us, because sadly, Europe is becoming a much different place, and they really do have to shape up. I want them to shape up. And let me tell you what that's related to. So, as I said back in the summertime, my caution to my listeners is that Elmo has been on the ground in the UK fomenting Tommy Robinson's anti-migrant movement. And that is where Dumpy Dump is getting, Europe is becoming a much different place, because the anti-migrant, the xenophobic bullshit, as we all know, is very strong. They're demonstrating in the UK, for example, Germany. I've seen other areas. So people like Elmo, the Money, and others, they realize, and who was talking about this? I think it was Heather Cox Richardson or someone else. But it was, they have one. This really is the big roll of the dice by destroying the United States government and gutting it, by flipping trade on its head, by kind of kowtowing to and selling our infrastructure and ourselves, our own lives to billionaires and foreign investors, and really transacting democracy and becoming a fascist regime. I mean, I'm going to say it again. Heather Cox Richardson did this amazing comparison of actions between what a fascist regime is, what the characteristics of a fascist regime are, and the actions of this regime. And I really implore people, I'll link that in this, because I implore people to listen to that first part where she really lays it out so well. So this is all about Europe has an immigration problem, an illegal immigration problem. Where have you heard that before? And Elmo is fully funding the same type of fuckery that got us to this place in this country, now funding that in Europe, primarily right now through the UK, through Tommy Robinson and his anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant bullshit. So that's where we're going with this. I want him to shape up. So I think we'll always get along with Europe, but I want them to shape up. I don't know what shape up means. What does shape up mean? What the fuck does that even mean? Meanwhile, Europe is not breeding enough children to keep their social benefits going. They need immigration. Yeah, I mean, that's just not encouraging migration. Yeah, well, I have a feeling that's kind of the plan. They don't want a liberal, there's Europeans, leadership can tend to be more, I don't know, maybe not liberal isn't the right word, but I don't know, more pragmatic, I guess. I'm the one that got them to spend more on GDP on NATO. Yeah, which means they have not as much money for social services, and all those countries will be in, it's easy to destabilize a country too when you force them to pay more for defense, which is really what that means. NATO is when countries dedicate part of their their budget to defense spending in order to protect NATO and be part of that. So that's where the 2 to 5% comes from. Yeah. So you mentioned on Greenland that I've been very loyal. I've been very loyal to Europe. I've done a good job. If it weren't for me, Russia would have all of Ukraine right now. Really? Yeah, same for us in the United States. Migration actually keeps this country healthy and moving. So I don't know. I'm not sure where the drama is. And don't forget, I gave him javelins, and Obama gave him sheets. Yeah. And they took those tanks at the very beginning with the javelins. If I didn't give the javelins, this war would have been over immediately. Okay, that's all stuff he said before. Election was totally rigged. It's coming out more and more every day. God, I hate him so much. When is he gonna die? I don't know. Oh my God. Everybody said it. Oh wait. Let me take you back to Katie's question. You know what I mean by that, David. Yeah, I know Putin has said that as well. Everybody said it. I didn't say it. On the other hand, Putin would have never done it. I used to talk to him about it a lot. Really? Did you? Interesting. Mr. President, just to get back to Greenland, he speaks off the record. Mr. President, I wanted to ask you about that on the record. Russia called the U.S. boarding that Bella tanker an act of piracy after they warned you not to do so. Despite what you're saying, your relationship with Putin is, are you in a new? You didn't say what happened. So what happened out in the high seas? Russia sailed away, didn't they? What happened? Do you know that, right? That the U.S. boarded the tanker after. You mean their submarine sailed away? No, and their destroyer sailed away. Are you in a new phase of, no, it's a sign of respect. They don't sail away too often, but they sailed away. Oh, you mean it was KFAB? Yeah, Mr. President, this is a Wendy's. Do you want a Frosty with that? I guess the question is, how far are you willing to challenge Putin? That was something he asked you not to do it, and you did it. Well, until this, I had a great relationship with Putin. I always said, wait a minute, despite the fake Russia scandal, that was a scandal on the Democrats. Okay, blah, 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 contrived. Yeah. If I could have, if it weren't for me. And in this case, Putin, if we didn't understand each other, we could have ended up in a world war over that hoax by Schiff and crooked Clinton and everybody else involved. It was a totally real. So Katie asks, is your relationship with him changing? And it put our nation at risk. Okay, whatever. Well, let's focus on your relationship with him for a moment. In just 4 weeks, you're going to have the expiration of the last arms control agreement. Oh, fucking hell. That's right. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, boy. So in just 4 weeks, you're going to have the expiration of the last arms control agreement between the United States and Russia, as you're very aware. He'd like to make a deal. Putin would like to extend it, although you can't legally do the full treaty. You have to negotiate. I'm told that he has said the price for extending it is more concessions on Ukraine. I'm not hearing that. I don't hear that at all. So do you think it's going to get extended? I've never heard that. What I have heard is he would love to extend it. And I actually feel strongly that if we're going to do it, I think China should be a member of the extension. China should be part of that agreement. And China said that they would not. China hasn't really said anything about it. So you have 4 weeks. I told President Xi about it. You did? What did he say? Well, I have a lot of other things to do, but I think it's very important, the subject we're talking about. I spoke to President Xi about it previously, and I think he'd be a willing participant. Excuse me, you said 3 weeks on this, though. What is it? What? Is it going to expire? If it expires, it expires. We'll do a better agreement. There are a lot of weaknesses in that agreement. When they negotiated that agreement, they didn't do a very good job. Well, there are a lot of weapons it does not cover. That's right. Russia's exotic weapons are shorter range. Well, there's a lot of weapons it does cover, and they're all covered on our side, which is not a good thing. What? So you're willing to let it expire. I'd rather do a new agreement that's much better. So he's going to expire. He's going to let the SALT treaty expire. Because under the SALT treaty, it's building your nuclear arsenal is part of the restriction on countries involved in those treaties. So imagine a nefarious actor who says, well, there is no treaty, so I guess I can go ahead and create all these weapon systems, make hay while the sun shines until somebody decides that we have a new treaty. I mean, my God, I guess that's not really. I'm going to read your Jonathan Pye thing, Gal. Let me just try and I'm going to make through some of this. I don't know how far we're going to get through this, but we'll see. We're not getting very far. I want to at least get through Greenland. Well, okay. I'd rather do a new agreement. Well, you're not going to do that in 3 weeks. So what? How do you know that? I mean, I can do fast agreements. I've always done fast agreements. Look at Venezuela. That's about as fast as you can get. What's the deal? There's no deal. Mr. President, one more in foreign policy, then we'll move on to domestic policy. On Greenland, before you talk about Greenland, I think it's a wonderful thing for China and the Russia and the United States. And see, now he's like, oh my God, that's a great idea. I'm going to involve China. And then if you do that, you want to get a couple of other players involved also because there are other players. And those would be North Korea. Hi. Hi, friend. Hi, little Sammy. Wait, I might go this way. Hi, Sammy. Sammy. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Hi. Hi. You can't jump over there. Please don't jump over there. Hi. I love you. Good morning. Sam says good morning. Good morning, Starshine. The earth says hello. Access to power is such an aphrodisiac for some journos. I'm waiting for a subhead saying, chairs scratch on floor as reporters get up to leave in frustration. Hi. Do you want to come up here? Come here. Let's see. Well, and those would be North Korea. Well, you have to get some other players involved too. So we have the most nuclear weapons. When I was president, Russia's got more than we do. Well, they're wrong. We have more than they do. It's irrelevant because it only takes one. Oh God, thank God he knows that. David says, that's right. Okay, so we're talking about thousands and it only takes one. But we have more than they do. We have better than they do. We have better military equipment. A lot of people say that. A lot of people say. You're saying that you will not extend. It's proven because if you look at... Okay, whatever. You're saying you will not extend unless the Chinese come in as well. No, I think it would be appropriate for the Chinese, but I would do a deal with Russia without the Chinese. But I think that China would be a good participant. I also want to move on to... Go ahead. Just quickly, last one on Greenland. Are you prepared to send troops to Greenland if they do not give over the territory? Well, we already have troops. Yeah, but more troops, militarily. Take it over. Sure, I'd have more. Would you take it over with the military? I mean, don't forget, we have, a good section of troops. I've had troops there. I've upped it. We already have troops in Greenland. I was there this summer, and we had 16 bases the U.S. gave up. We have the right under the treaty to reopen them, as you know. Well, that was Biden gave up. No, it was at the end of the Cold War. Oh my God, maggots, you vote for the stupidest people. Like literally the stupid. It's like fucking Real Housewives. I'm sorry, but those women are stupid. I'm really sorry. I'm being very specific. Oh, you mean it was at the end of the Cold War. Oh, you mean Greenland. Yeah, what we were talking about. Fucking loser. Oh, good, because you needed them at the time. We had START. In the 1951 agreement, though, it says the United States can reopen these bases anytime you want. You can send as many troops as you want. That's right, and you haven't done it. How come? Because I want to do it properly. And properly means own it. Really, it is to me. It's ownership. Ownership is very important. Why is ownership important here? Because that's what I feel is psychologically needed for success. Wow, that's an interesting sentence. I think that ownership gives you a thing that you can't do, whether you're talking about a lease or a treaty. Ownership gives you things and elements that you can't get from just signing a document, that you can have a base. So you're going to ask them to buy it. Psychologically important to you or the United States? Oh, sorry. Psychologically important to you or the United States? Psychologically important for me. Now, maybe another president would feel differently, but so far I've been right about everything. Oh, it's time. It's time for 25th Amendment, I think. And you would use military force to get that. I didn't say that. You said that. I'm asking you, would you? Yeah, I wouldn't comment on that. I don't think it'll be necessary. I asked you a year ago, you may remember at Mar-a-Lago before your inauguration, you said, if I need to use nuclear force, if I need to use military force, it's possible. If I needed it, it might upset NATO. Look, we spend a lot of money on NATO. No, we don't. You know, a lot of people don't think NATO is to our benefit. We sell arms to NATO. Fuck, get out of here. We're out there fighting with Russia, stopping Ukraine from being decimated. You are not, what? You're not fighting with Russia. You're not stopping it. You actually encouraged. It's the impeachment. That's what it is, Jane. We're not fighting for the Ukrainians. We're not giving them any arms. We're actually not even sharing intelligence. Right? I love the Baron should marry the Danish princess. Oh, God. That guy. Oh, we have an ocean between us. There's an ocean thing. David, you were shocked when I got 5% instead of 2%. I'm not doing that. So because of that, they owe you. They owe you Greenland in your mind. And now we don't carry them. In fact, when we send weapons, they pay for them in full. We said send weapons. They probably go to Ukraine. That's up to them. But we send weapons to NATO and they pay us. So you're making money from the war. Well, we are making money from the war, but I don't want to make money. I want the war to stop because I don't want to see 30,000 people a month die. You know, last month it was a record. They lost 30,000. I'm sorry. I thought it was 27. I guess that was the month before. All right. They lost 30,000 between the two nations, mostly soldiers. 30,000. And the month before they lost 27. You know, you read about the missiles being shot in and those. That's bad also. But that's a small number of deaths by comparison to the soldiers. Okay. I'm going to stop here, but we are going to read the rest of this. But he breaks to go to Minneapolis, and so we'll stop on that one. Let me go to, where is this? Oh, this is part of that too. Wait, I want to see this. Big flag. Trump said during his interview with the New York Times that he regretted not ordering the National Guard to seize. Oh, this is the part that I wanted to talk about. Thank you, Gal. Said during his interview with the New York Times that he regretted not ordering the National Guard to seize voting machines in swing states after his loss in the 2020 election. You know, like Jim and Gal talked about, the insurrection was Plan B. He doubted whether the Guard was sophisticated enough to carry out the order effectively. Yeah, okay. I definitely want to read that. Hold on. Let me go back because this, there was another one. Did I have Jim's pulled up? I don't know if I had. I thought I pulled up Jim's. Oh, here we go. I pulled up Jim's post this morning. Oh, sorry. I don't think you can see that. All right. Because this did not go unnoticed by members of Gal Squad. Okay. Wait, where's, oh, wait. Go back. So this was Mike Flynn's Plan A. The insurrection was Plan B. We still need to read this because I definitely want to. Yeah. He literally wrote the book, Fifth Generation Warfare. Oh, my God. Yeah. Jim says, I wrote this with Gal Suburban 3.5 years ago. We told them. And we will be reading this again. We're going to do it this week because I think we have some days where we don't have anything happening in Congress, etc. But yeah. Anyway, and we read a little bit of that last week, but I definitely want to revisit that in light of the comment about stealing the voting machines. Really? Denver's talking about 13848? Oh my God. What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? I've seen discussions of paying off each Greenlander with 100,000 would cost $6 billion, a rounding error for the Department of War. Yeah. Ow. Hi. I know. I see you. Hi. 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 I'm sorry. I need some kitty snuggles. Grubby little work stealers. Yeah. I don't see any other way to interpret that, Grace Lisa, as one of ours is worth all of yours. Yeah. Oh. Hi, Dan. How are you? Hi. Hi, sweetheart. Okay, please don't scratch Mommy's back. Please. A $6 billion figure represents approximately 0.7% of the most recent annual U.S. Department of Defense budget. Who in the... I'm sorry. You're telling me that Greenlanders would say, oh, $100,000? Woohoo! You know, like, come on. Midterms will be a some bitch. I know. Which I think we will be able to vote, because I think they haven't figured it out. And the reason I think that, and I'm going to keep saying it, is the last 3 special elections, they could have fucked around with shit. I don't think they actually know yet how to actually fuck around with shit. Except for, influence and threats and all that. I'm not saying that. I think it was the same with Nazis after a death among them. Wiped out a whole town. Oh. So, anyway, we will be reading that. But let me go to, I wanted to go to this. Because it's not about security. Yeah. Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm going to be quiet myself.
J.D. Vance criticising Denmark and Europe's handling of critical Greenland. Let's take a look. Oh, what a week. What a week. Venezuela falls, Greenland preparing for invasion, international law in tatters, the end of the old world order, and, I've only just finished off the Christmas Baileys. I'm still hanging. What a week, what a week. Maduro, narco-terrorist in leg irons in New York, facing the same district court that not long ago Trump said was corrupt and rigged, just before he was found guilty on 34 charges. What a week, what a week. This had nothing to do with stopping narco-terrorism, obvs, because if it was, Trump wouldn't have recently pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of trafficking 400 tons of cocaine into America. It's also not about ousting a dictator and restoring democracy, because if it was, then the opposition leader, who has a democratic mandate to run Venezuela, would now be running Venezuela, or at least have a direct line to Mar-a-Lago. But no, Trump is the first person since Genghis Khan to just take what he likes without at least pretending there's a reasonable justification. Even Putin pretends he's rescuing ethnic Russians from Ukrainian Nazis, whereas Trump nakedly admits he just wants the oil. Oil companies knew about the Venezuela incursion before it happened, before Congress knew. Now, look, I could just about get on board with the US kidnapping a terrible bastard like Maduro, no tears shed. But when 24 hours later Trump once again threatens to take Greenland, a sovereign territory of those terrible bastards in Denmark with their Lego and their pastries, there's a big difference in kidnapping some nasty despotic arsehole who's sat on a shitload of shit oil and directly threatening military action against a fellow NATO ally with no good reason. Trump's there with his FIFA Peace Prize hanging round his neck like a Jim'll Fix-It badge. We want Greenland. Why? We just want it. It's like a toddler unknowingly shoplifting a Kinder Egg from Asda. I just want it. I just want it. Finally, we see what America First really means. It means they don't believe in allies, or multilateral cooperation, or international courts, or NATO, or the UN, or any of it. No trade deal is safe, no treaty, no diplomatic historic norm is safe. And these are things that are put in place to try and keep us safe. We are not safe from our own ally. It is now official US policy to promote hard-right parties across Europe. That is official US foreign policy in black and white. When J.D. Vance says it scares him that the UK and France have nuclear weapons, but doesn't mention North Korea, that's an enemy talking, not an ally. They're saying, if you think you can do a better job than any government, then you can just go in and kidnap someone and steal their shit. Friend or foe, we'll steal your shit if we want it. America's actions in Venezuela, but more worryingly, the threats against Greenland and their policy of promoting MAGA-friendly and far-right parties across liberal democracies in Europe undermines the sovereignty of every nation-state on the planet. Remember sovereignty. Remember when you couldn't move for flag shaggers shouting about sovereignty. Any true patriot should fear these sinister developments. Whatever political hue you paint yourself, just because you hate Keir Starmer, I mean, who doesn't mean you should side with J.D. Vance, right? Right? But apparently now, if you respect international law and national sovereignty, you're a soy-filled woke-tard. Think Trump's a terrifying twat? You have Trump derangement syndrome. I'll tell you what Trump derangement syndrome really looks like. Never was the fake patriotism of the British right-wing tabloid press more powerfully on display than last year when Richard Littlejohn went with the headline, "Have I got a deal for you, Mr. Trump? Forget Greenland and buy Britain instead." Or you have Tommy Robinson this week genuinely calling for the US to invade the UK. Or Lawrence Fox last month saying he'd happily join the Russian army to fight against the British government. How sensitive these right-wingers have become. Right, I didn't like them Tories much, but at no point during Boris Johnson's reign of fuck-wittery did I ever think, I've had enough of this, I'm off to join the Russian army. Fuck Rishi Sunak, I'm going to blow up Parliament. Paint a flag on a roundabout, fine, but you can't then in the next breath call for the violent overthrow of a democratically elected British government, no matter how shit they are, and then call yourself a patriot. If you want Donald Trump to invade the UK because you don't like Keir Starmer, you're insane. And you're no fucking patriot, that's for sure. Okay. Coming up, we're taking a look at all the goings-on in Westminster. Meanwhile, this weather isn't going anywhere.
Oh my gosh, that's really good. Yeah, Teresa, we actually were reading that. We read that article. Gal dropped that link. Thank you so much. We read that article about influencers. Fucking too much. Oh, that was great, Gal. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. I would love to see him do the I haven't heard of him before. Let's see here. Where am I? Oh, wait. Let me link that before I forget. Let me do this. Meet. There. That's that. There you go, Carrie. That is Jonathan Pye. Yeah. Oh, boy. Oh, me. Okay, I think that's enough for this morning. Oh, whoops. Lordy. I think that's enough for this morning. Oh, whoops. I guess you don't want to see that. Let's look at the fire. Let's look at the fireplace. It's pissing it down for the 4th time this week from hell. I love it. I will say, too, tomorrow, we'll be back with SCOTUS tomorrow because it's a very good rant. Hi, Val. How are you, darling? We will be back with SCOTUS tomorrow morning. It's a case about transgender athletes. So another attack on transgender people, which if you're worried about transgender athletes, then maybe you should train harder. I don't know. That's what I say to people like Riley, whatever her name is. She's mad at trans people because she tied for 5th in a swim meet with a swimmer who is a trans woman. And so that apparently really pissed her off so much that she decided she's going to ensure as many people who are trans suffer as much as possible. And so, yeah, but in reality, she's just a shitty swimmer. I'm sorry. She beat the I thought they both tied. I could be wrong. Forgive me. Or maybe, I don't know. But I'm sure at some other point. But this is another example of being on the wrong side of history. And wanting to create a hate and fear-filled environment for people who are trans. And so you can't claim that you're like, oh, but I love gay people. I just don't want them to be in my face. I have trans friends, but I don't want them to show my kids whatever. I don't, like what? I'm not sure what's happening, but yeah. So it's this. If you agree with her or others who claim that trans people get unfair advantages, etc., then you're part of the problem. Because there's just no evidence that the appearance of trans athletes within a sport dramatically change the outcomes. There have been trans people in sports since time began. I really hate to tell people this, but this is not a new concept. So I'm sorry, but you have to give up the hate. You have to give up the hate. And I think, it's like that moment where if you decide that all of us deserve to live in dignity with the same rights as one another, what could be wrong with that? That's what I want to know. Because, and another thing, no one is indoctrinating your child to become trans, ever, anywhere, at any time. If anything, trans children are hiding or confused by their feelings because they feel they are expressing the gender that they feel, and people are telling them that that's not true. Can you imagine having your entire existence questioned by the core people who are supposed to love you? So if anything, I want, and if you don't understand how schools work, well, I do understand how schools work. I do understand how schools work. And you must create an environment where every student feels seen. And that's not a burden. That's being a kind person. So I don't have time to indoctrinate history in your kid, much less I don't know how you make someone, people are transgender. It's not, no one is like becoming transgender. Okay? This is who they are. This is who they are. So I really implore chuds. Okay, that's enough. I really implore chuds to love more, just in this one area. What if you truly opened your heart to the fact that just like you as a parent, you don't want me telling you, chud parent, how to raise your child. That means you, chud parent, have no right to tell the parent of a transgender child what is good or not for their child. You are just afraid of something that you don't understand, and you know you're wrong, and so you hate yourself for it. It's a very complex thing, actually. It's not about taking, it doesn't matter how small the population is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I want transgender people to have a fully realized, fucking hell, why is this so hard? Why is this so hard? Why is this so hard? It is so much harder to hate an entire group of people And I'm sorry, when you say shit and when you think Tommy Boy is funny because he says something really, really fucking awful about trans women, when you think that's funny or you think that's this or that, I want you to really, really, really think for a moment. If it were some other topic and something that applied to your child, how would you feel about someone saying that and laughing or whatever? I just beg people, like, just open your mind that people are people, no matter what is it, Horton Hears a Who? People are people, no matter how small. You know, people are people, no matter what. Period. So, no, it's not your business. It's not your business. I mean, you know, so it's like, yeah, the gutter moron. Yeah, he's bad. He's really bad. But that's what is being pushed these days. And it's, God, it's just one of those things where I go, my God, this should be a no-brainer, that it should be a no-brainer to say, wow, you know what's ultimate freedom? Is people to live their lives as they like. People to live their lives as they feel authentic. And it doesn't harm you. And if you're uncomfortable, well then, I mean, that's really a you problem. That's not a them problem. They're just existing. And nobody is trying to get your children. Nobody wants your fucking children. Okay? Get over yourselves. Your children aren't that great. And they have no style. So I'm not taking one of your children because they don't have any style. And I can't work with that. So there. It is all about hate, Dan. You're right. Anyway, so love more, hate less. It's really not that hard. Open your minds. And if you have something that is not nice to say about people, then shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Write yourself a letter. And shut the fuck up. Because someday soon, you're going to realize, and it's going to be real painful, that you were the shithead, that you were the bully. So, that's all I'm asking. I'm not, just open your heart. Open your heart a little bit. And stop using words that hurt other people because you think it's a big flex to use them. It's not. It shows me how scared you are of who you are. It just shows me how scared you are of who you are. And that's, again, not something I can help you with. I took freedom of choice for granted. I'm doing my best to try and make it possible for others around me. Exactly. I mean, this is not hard. This should not be hard. It just shouldn't. Okay. Thank you for coming to my Lolo talk. The Lolo talk. All right. I have a new outro. I mean, I have the same song because I can't. Oh, but I am working on the song. Oh my God, I got to show you guys. Hold on. I'm working on the song because I did a transcript. Remember on Saturday I talked to you about that video that I did? Hold on, let me find it. Oh, I started writing the song last night and thinking about it in my head. It's really good. You're going to love it. I haven't done any song work on it yet, but hold on. Hold on. Wait, that's not the right account. That's not the right account. That's not the right account. That's not the right account right now. Sorry. I love singing. Okay. Let me see. What? Can I select all? Select all. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay, this has more. So I transcripted the video last night of the guys talking shit about me. Because I like to use people's hate for my own artistic creation. All right, so this is the transcript. So there's like a pre-roll. I'm thinking of the song structure. Like they have this thing where they're just talking. You're not. So it's okay. I mean, we got everyone sucking. Okay. And then he starts with, We got everyone sucking up to Lolo, who's a fucking moron. I mean, yeah, I can't watch the little, I think, cunt or something. And the thing is, I opened her once and she's, I don't know what he said, Tim. You are not fucking Marilyn Monroe. She's a fake fucking bitch. Shocking fake. So I think, I told her, at least up your Prozac prescription. I don't think I'm on Prozac. I think I'm on something else. I think I'm on sertraline. That's Wellbutrin. I don't think that's Prozac. Anyway, at least figure that shit the funk out, batch. Like, seriously, you're nuts. I told her she had a face that was built for an inflatable dinosaur costume. Then she got the dinosaur. You did not. You did fucking not. You fucking liar. Oh my God. Telescope. You're a fucking liar, you drunk. Jesus. What? Go jump off a fucking bridge, you bitch. Or at least and you know it's inflatable, and that's where she had a face for it. I'm not apologizing. She's horrid looking. I don't know if you're fucking, I don't know what Timmy means. It's a bad transcription. Oh, this was a good. Marilyn Monroe, dude, like you went to Hollywood for all those fucking dreams, but you didn't get any of them. So my plan is to take certain, like I might have like a radio version of this playing in the background. But my plan is to come up with a couple of really good like punk beats. And then, they're not winning any beauty contests. Well, and I actually think I'm pretty cute. I don't know. I mean, I've worked hard to be cute, okay? I'm just saying. I'm 62 years old. I think I'm pretty cute for 62 years old. I don't know. I could be wrong. But whatever. No, they don't know anything at all. But this was beautiful. This was a gift. Okay, you guys, please. This was a gift. Because people say this shit about me all the time. It's fine. It really has stopped. It does not bother me. But what I want is like I want to pick out a couple things like the face built for a dinosaur and dude thinks she's all hot, but none of them are even okay. Oh yeah, they don't come in my chat to support me, which they do. But anyway, sucking up to Lolo, and Lolo is a fucking moron is the name of the song right now, and I think that will be the refrain. I know. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be begging for compliments, but I'm pretty confident about what I look like now versus how I've looked in the past. So I kind of know I'm okay. I'm at least okay now. Anyway, so I can't wait. This is so fun. I got to figure out the music part and all the kind of manipulation of their voices, but I will figure that out. I think it's hilarious. I don't know. I thought it was a gift. I'm like, thank you. Oh my God, I really needed an inspiration for like a theme song. You know, like a theme song. Like, and Lolo is a fucking moron, I think is a great theme song. I'm into it. I'm way into it. No, I mean, no, I didn't hear any. I was listening for the notes. But I didn't hear any helpful notes that I could use, to improve my craft. But anyway, I thought it was hilarious. I don't know. I'm sorry. I think, and these two guys are absolutely not people that I give a flying fuckwad about what they think of me or anything, whether I look like or what I talk like or whatever. Friends don't let friends drink in panel, right? I mean, this is the thing. They all love me. Are you kidding me, Dan? I'm telling you right now. All these guys who fucking yank their dicks about me and all this, they fucking love me. Are you kidding me? It's like a fever dream. I don't think that's true. Yeah, friends don't let friends drink in panel. I don't think that's true. I think you do. That's the time you panel. Anyway, thank you so much for coming this morning. I feel cute. Some days I don't feel cute. I think that's like it is with everyone. Yeah, the lowest IQ. It is always Jay. It's always the lowest IQ losers calling people dumb. The reason this guy's so mad at me, Telescope, is because he tried during the convoy to become like the real, like a real creator, like trying to do all these punky videos and shit like that. And they were terrible because it's not his strength. Maybe he has other strengths. But his strength is not storytelling. His strength is not putting together a funny skit video. That's not his strength. And so he was bad at it, and he's a drunk, and he would always tell people to kill themselves or use the N-word or stuff like that. He's a loser. This guy's just a fucking loser. And that's the point, is that, yeah, that was Telescope talking to Steve-O, who's this chud that sits in his basement. Steve-O's not important. But anyway, so Telescope was really failed in this whole convoy movement and got kicked out of the troll channel because he's such a fucking asshole. I mean, he didn't even confront anybody, really. I mean, he kind of did. So anyway, this guy's a loser, has been a loser, was very frustrated about being a loser, literally kicked out of the one group that you would think that he would fit in. No, well, I think he is MAGA. I think he's like those guys who want to fit in with people, so he kind of gets MAGA-y. Because again, he was excommunicated from the trolls because they were like, dude, you're too vile. Like, you're vile. So, yeah, the song's going to be real good. So thanks, Telescope. I really appreciate it. You gave me a gift. It's probably going to be a #1 hit. Yeah. Anyway, that's right. Fuck around and find out, bitches. No. He's not going to care. All right, so let me go ahead. He went camping with Red and Jersey J. He lost me before then. He lost me when he was like, I'm treating the convoy like a social behavioral science experiment. I said, if you are not, yeah, it was the suicide trolling that really got him out. But wait, what did he say? It was, the one thing I wanted to tell you guys. Shit. Oh man. Wait. I can't remember. Anyway. Yeah, he's a dick. He's a dick. He's a dick. He's a dick for a lot more than just the suicide trolling, but he did do that. He would, he gets really drunk and he would say that. Oh yeah, behavioral science experiment. When he first started with the convoy and we were all like, trolling the convoy, I remember him saying in one of the Discord spaces, I think for BTM, that he was doing a behavioral science experiment by trying to, and I said, if you're interacting with your subject, you are not yes, I'm writing a dissertation. Thank you, fucking Max. Love you. He claimed in the beginning, this is all for his, behavioral science, blah, blah, blah. Well, I said to him in the beginning, which is why he hates me and pretty much hated me since like April 2022, is I said in some kind of chat, an actual behavioral scientist does not make himself part of the group, because he was going down to like, I don't know, West Virginia or something like that. Or that's where he lives or something like that. And I'm like, you're not part of the experiment. If you're an observer, you're not in it, you fucking idiot. So it's nice that you think you're telling everybody something and trying to flex, but I know exactly that you're a big fake. And of course it turned out I was right. Hence, he's on a panel with another chud talking shit about people that he's jealous of. Love you. Yeah, writing a dissertation. Yes, come and see my etchings. Anyway, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for coming and playing with me in this this world of ours. And I will see you tomorrow morning. A very important SCOTUS case, so don't miss it. Thank you again. Meowing Star, thanks if you're still here. Thank you for reminding me about SCOTUS, because I totally forgot to check the SCOTUS docket. The trolls love to lift people up and tear them down. I mean, it's a tough world out there. I have walked very carefully in my YouTube streets, and I continue to walk carefully in the YouTube streets. So it's a dangerous place out there. You really have to know your shit, and you learn over time to be a little more confident in yourself. Yes. Well, thank you, Teresa. I hope I've been a little bit helpful. Ah, wonderful. Thank you, Mowing. But thank you again for that reminder about SCOTUS. All right. It's hard out there for a pimp. That's right. All right, my loves. I'll see you later. Hey, here's the new outro picture. Enjoy.